You're listening to the Hustle and Grind podcast, a podcast for all makers out there hustling and grinding every day to turn their dreams into a reality. If you'd like to support what we do, you can go to patreon.com/hustleandgrind, and for as little as $1 a month, you can help support our work. And every time we get a new Patreon supporter on patreon.com, an angel gets its wings. I'll do it.
Welcome back, everybody. First episode of 2023, and we're off with a bang. I'm here, Ryan Chadbourne Knife Works, sitting here with Noah from the Eniat River Forge, and we got a special short notice guest in the house, B. Kohn, Sharp
Hey,
Santa
guys.
himself of the Work For It podcast, B. Kohn Knives, Work For It too, a man of many, many hats.
Well, I got to cover up my bald head somehow, don't I?
So how's the rest period that you're in right now after the rush of delivering all the presents to all the little children around the world as Sharp Santa?
Oh man, yeah, it was crazy for sure getting all those presents out. Yeah. You know, it is what it is. We're all knife makers. We gotta do a Christmas rush almost every year, right?
It can be brutal, that's for sure.
But yeah, it's nice to be here. I mean, what was it? You got a hold of me about 10 minutes ago, and hey, we're making it happen over here. Loving it.
Yeah, our originally scheduled guest had some technical issues, so we're gonna reschedule with him. And I was like, "Damn it, who can I get in here?" So literally, I started going through alphabetically on my phone. I called Brian House. He didn't answer. He's a busy man. You were right behind him. I'm like,
Hey.
B. Kohn. We'll try B. Kohn.
I guess having a B first name has finally paid off for me.
Yeah,
There
I
you
don't know
go.
who would have
Love
been next. If you hadn't answered, we probably would have been doing just a twofer. But
Probably.
Well,
We really appreciate you jumping in, man. That's awesome. You were able to do that.
Thank you. I've got to ask, who was the person who had the technical difficulties?
TH Bladecraft.
Okay, cool. That'll be a
He
good
lives
one,
out-
I'm sure.
Yeah, he lives out in the boonies, so some technical issues with connections, and it is what it is. It happens all the time. So
Sure. Yeah.
So guys, what it's 2023. It's the beginning of the new year. I'm sure everybody's got their goals and everything, but I know this time of year, resolutions are kind of a big thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there that really are proponents of resolutions. I myself have a couple. I wanted to ask you about yours. B. Kohn, your co-host, also Brian. I was surprised because he's actually a really big fan of resolutions in general, New Year's resolutions. And I think, I can't even remember what he said, but it's something like only lazy people don't make New Year's resolutions, I think is what he said. If you're a Patreon of the Work For It podcast,
He said only lazy people do make New Year's resolutions.
No, I don't think that's what he said. Because I remember him being very vocal about how much he loved New Year's resolutions. And those of you that are patrons of the Work For It podcast know what I'm talking about, because Brian House went on a spiel about how great New Year's resolutions are and how they can really benefit you as a human being.
Yeah, honestly, listening or being there live for that after show. I mean, he was getting teary-eyed. He just loves those New Year's resolutions so much. It's really cool to hear him emotionally break down because of just his love for it. It's really cool.
It was inspiring. For sure. So that being said, Ryan, let's start with you, and then we'll go to B. Kohn once he composes himself here. What's your guys' New Year's resolutions look like?
I don't make New Year's resolutions because anything, I don't know, man, seems like it's for lazy fucks. If you have a New Year's resolution to lose weight, you could start losing weight in November or October. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting perspective. I don't know if I've heard that one before.
No, I don't think I've ever heard that either at all.
I think it also gives people a buffer for failure, because it doesn't matter that I didn't accomplish that. It was just a New Year's resolution. It wasn't a real goal,
Well, and
Sure.
the other aspect of it is like, oh darn, I didn't get that done this year. Now I have to wait until next New Year's to resolute myself to that goal.
Yeah, and I don't look at it that way. If anything, you could call it a resolution. My only resolution I've ever had is the same every year, and it's to crush this year way better than I crushed last year. You know what I'm saying? Just got to keep moving forward,
Keep moving forward,
crushing it, crushing goals. You make a
crushing it.
goal, you make a goal, you crush it, you make a new goal.
There
Just
you
like
go.
Brad Paisley, we want to be crushing it.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know
Neither
who
do I.
Brad Paisley is? What?
Mm-mm.
Boys.
Oh.
He's one of the best country music artists that has ever lived.
See,
Oh.
here's the
And he's
thing.
an amazing guitarist.
Here's the thing. I grew up in a very small town, like, Sandusky. It's more cows than people, very rural. There was a lot of country music, and don't get me wrong, I love, old country, Johnny Cash, all of the, like, Willie Nelson. I mean, you can list off a lot of them, but for whatever reason, about halfway through high school, I just like got this rebellious streak in me, and for whatever reason, I just swore off country for a long, long time. And honestly, listening to some of the pop country that's come out lately, maybe that wasn't a bad thing.
Well, you can't listen to bro country. Bro country is its own genre. And actually, I'm not going to like say where, but I was stuck somewhere recently and somebody played some bro country and it's gotten worse than it was even when I was younger. Like my eyes
What?
started to twitch and I was getting ready to go into a rage and start breaking things. It was so bad. I couldn't believe how awful it was.
What the fuck is bro country?
Bro country, you know who Luke Bryan is?
Yeah.
Oh, I call it bubblegum country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that too.
So Luke Bryan is the father of modern bro country, and it all went downhill like after he started doing it, and it's gotten worse now. It's like country rap, which shortens really easily into crap, and it's just sort of like that hip hoppy. Like every song, you have to mention the phrase "painted on jeans," white T-shirt, and tailgate of a truck. I think as in order for it to actually be published, you have to have those things in the song. And
Oh.
it's awful. Like I thought it was bad before, but I heard some newer stuff, or I was forced to, and I felt the rage. I was ready to kill somebody. It was bad.
The only new country that I enjoy is like coal mining, bluegrass type country, like Tyler Childers, Coulter Wall, who's Canadian, bands like Poor Man's Poison, like bluegrassy type stuff. Not
Yeah.
like My Dog Ran Away in My Truck and or like Up Church. I really liked
Wait a
Up Church
second.
when he was.
Hold on for a second. I need to have an entire album of Ryan Chadbourne just strumming on a guitar. My dog ran away. I need to hear it. We need to make it happen. I'd buy that.
Oh no.
Oh man, we could do a hustle and grind musical hour.
Yeah, man. I'm down.
Oh, no.
She broke my heart. Like,
Oh shit.
Wow, I think you could actually pull that off, Ryan. That's good.
Thanks, man. That's what I do.
It was better than what I was listening to the other weekend. That's for sure.
Ooh.
What was that?
Little do you,
Oh, the stuff that I'm talking about, the bro country or whatever that
Oh, yeah.
got tortured.
little do you guys know, after these podcasts, I turn the monitor back on in my headphones and I sing to myself while I do the editing.
I'm not surprised
Oh.
by that.
Just
I'm
throw a
actually-
microphone on. Just throw a microphone on and just like have that in the background as like background music throughout the podcast. That'd go well.
I am a in the car by myself singer, though. I'll admit to
Okay.
that.
Aren't we
You know
all?
what I mean? You just jamming.
Oh yeah.
Jamming, and you think you sound good because the music's so loud that it like cancels out how you sound.
Exactly. It's great.
Yeah.
And there's no one
Well,
there to
I've-
judge you.
I've had so much time because my shop's an hour away to do that exact thing where you throw on music and you just, jam out to whatever you're listening to. But come Friday, that's all done with.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy for you, man. That sounds incredible.
I'm excited, man. I'm
That's
really
so
excited.
cool.
You could soundproof your shop.
I think I'm going to have to just because the neighbors are relatively close.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Uh,
So before we get off the music thing, I actually let's do a little roundy here. And what's everybody been listening to? I mean, we're alone by ourselves a lot. We're in our cars a lot. We're in our shop a lot. If you could name just like one band or one song that's really been getting you going lately, what are you listening to right now? Maybe we can share that with our listeners so we can commiserate a little bit. Brian, Brian, what have you been listening to?
Rage Against the Machine every single morning. There's no better way to wake up in the morning to throw on some headphones and listen to Killin' in the Name. If that doesn't get your blood going and ready to go to work, I don't know what will.
Killing in the
Told
name
ya.
of.
Dude,
You do what they
and they
told
do what
you.
they told you. Yeah, man. Love that shit.
I'll show you my playlist right now
Oh my gosh,
because
we're getting
I
deep
have.
here.
All right, so the first song is Saint James by the Devil Makes Three, Johnson Family by the Devil Makes Three, As I Go, which is Chris Webby, that's a rap song, Black Sheep by Poor Man's Poison, a guy named Kohn, which is Kaan. He's a rapper. That's Mary Jane, White Lines, Snack the Ripper, Step Away, more Poor Man's Poison, Poor Man's Poison, Poor Man's Poison, Mercules, Chris Webby, Jelly Roll, some random song I like by Gone. I don't listen to any other song by them but that one. It's called In My Bones. And
So this, aside from Jelly Roll, I've never heard of any of these people. I don't even know what kind of music Jelly Roll is. I just know I've heard of it. Do you have like a Spotify playlist where people can go and listen to this, or I could, so that we could kind of get an idea of what it is you're talking about?
no, I have YouTube Premium, so I've got the YouTube Music app.
That's the way to
No,
go, though, man. YouTube Premium, as soon as you've had a taste of that, it's hard to go back.
I canceled my subscription for 2 weeks, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm going back."
Yeah.
That good,
YouTube with
huh?
no ads. YouTube with no ads, bro. No ads. It's
Mm.
worth it. It's worth $12 a month, and you get the music app, which is cool. But I don't know if we can play songs on here.
I
No,
have no
no,
idea.
no. We'll get
No,
taken
because
down.
we go to we post to YouTube now, but and then and then I have a second playlist that's all Jelly Roll. It's the 4 Waylon and Willie's albums that he did with Struggle Jennings.
Sweet, sweet. No, what's yours?
Oh, I, so there's a band called Bad Omens, and I don't know if you get. I listen to like a lot of metalcore, pretty much almost entirely metalcore.
All right.
But I do listen to other genres though a lot. Actually, I talked about Brad Paisley. I listen to like good old country. I listen to pretty much every genre other than like I don't listen to a whole lot of hip hop, and I don't listen to a whole lot of I don't listen to any reggae at all. I don't like reggae.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
not for me, man. But yeah, so I mostly listen to metal and metalcore, and Bad Omens is a little bit of a lighter metalcore band. They don't do like it's not as heavy as a lot of other ones, especially their latest album. But their latest album called The Death of Peace of Mind, I've been listening to that one a lot. And it's one of those things where it just gets in your head and you just kind of have to keep listening to it because you can't stop. It's like it's there. And I'm a very obsessive person. So I'll listen to it until I'm absolutely sick of it. And then I can't listen to it again for quite a while. So
It's that neurodivergent brain.
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I can't stop, won't stop.
I used
Hey,
to be a
man.
huge Coheed and Cambria fan.
Yep, I listened to them a lot back in the day.
Back in the day, I have a keyword tattoo in the ditch of my elbow. But they're the only band that I've sought out to see live, and I've seen them live 4 times, and
Wow.
they're absolutely amazing live. Their new stuff sucks. I can't stand it. My brother hates me for saying that. But
That's a bummer.
well, I mean, it happens with all musicians. Once you get to a level of fame and wealth, what real pain do you have in your life? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Sure,
good
yeah.
music comes from the soul. And if you're driving around in a Bugatti and you live in a mansion,
You don't have any soul.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. So I was kind of joking about the New Year's resolutions a little bit. But do you guys have?
We brought it back. I love it. We brought it
We're
back.
going back. We're going back in the. Let's circle back, guys. Come on, we're going to circle back to this. as far as like goals for 2023, I mean, I know that we all have goals, like maybe not resolutions, but goals, things that we want to accomplish in this next year. What sort of goals do you guys have?
You go
Ryan, do
first,
you want to
Brian.
go? Oh, I guess I'll go first. Honestly, it's all short-term goals for me. Getting the house up and running, getting the shop ready to go. I was talking a little bit about this welder trade, and I've been trying to get a hold of him all day today, and the guy has just stopped responding. So
Oh no, you got ghosted.
yeah, I think he got cold feet. No big deal. Whatever. I'll
Oh
just
man.
probably get another whatever. I'll figure it out.
I
But
wanted to
on
mention
that,
that to you actually. So we'll
yeah.
bring that back up when you're done with your point because I have a multi-function welder, so I wanted
Okay.
to give you my 2 cents on it too.
Sure. I
Like,
love the fact that ever since I brought that up, I've had more people in my DMs talking about welders and what I should do and what I shouldn't do. Love it. I love that. I love that feedback. It helps a lot for sure. But yeah, I definitely want to learn how to weld and become competent in welding so that, obviously I can get a metal glue gun and stick things together, but I want to like weld well, you know?
yeah. So my 2 cents on the multifunction welder, and House said you shouldn't go with a multifunction. You should buy each individual welder, and I agree with him, and this is why. I have a Lincoln LE31MP. It's the small welder, but it does MIG, TIG, and stick.
Yeah.
It's I did the math. The torch is like $180. The
Shit.
pedals like another 200 and something bucks, and then you got to buy an argon tank that's straight argon for TIG welding, and that's another 200 bucks, 225, whatever. So you're almost up to $700 just to get your multifunction welder to weld TIG when you could just buy a TIG welder for about that same amount of money. Do you see what I'm saying? So House is correct because I would have to switch all the switch all the leads over, switch everything over to go from MIG to TIG. And with if you had dedicated welders, you could just. But I would say skip flux core.
Ah, man, I was hoping I wasn't going to hear that because that's what I was going to go to because it's so cheap.
It's cheap, but you don't have to be a good welder to lay a good MIG weld if you use a gas MIG.
Okay.
Like you, I mean, the gas makes such a difference. You get your nozzle close enough. That's the biggest mistake most people make is they have their nozzle too far away. You get
Okay.
your nozzle close enough and you listen to it and you want it to sound like sizzling bacon.
Frying
See,
bacon.
here's the question because you have to get gas for MIG. How much are one of those bottles and how much roughly is it going to be to refill?
It's $60. I have a small bottle. It's the
Yeah.
smallest one they'll sell you. It's $60 to refill it, and it's 160 for the bottle. And you don't refill it; they swap them out. So
Oh,
you bring in your empty one, they give you a new one.
okay. All right. I'm
Yeah,
into it.
my local welding shop. You're renting a bottle. So I already had a bottle with my welder, so I just go there and it's like 60 or 70 bucks just to swap it straight out. You got a whole new tank of gas. You're good to go. And I don't do a ton of welding. I mean, I weld up my billets, repairs here and there, like not a whole lot of welding. And I mean, that one bottle is going to last me for probably 2 years just with the minimal amount of welding that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bottle, I fill it like once a year, and most of the time it goes empty. Is because I left the valve on.
Oh, no.
Yes, always close it. I have a checklist that I do when I'm getting set up to weld, and I have a checklist that I do when I'm done welding. And the last thing is always to close that bottle to make sure it doesn't leak
Mm.
out.
I feel like I'm set up for that pretty well because even with my propane forge, the first thing I turn it off and then I also turn it off at the bottle itself or
Yep.
at the tank. So it's kind of already ingrained in me to like, okay, shut everything off, make sure no gas flow can go out anywhere because the shed's just out in the back. I'd hate for that thing to blow up.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure. You never trust regulators. So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents. But anyways, I completely agree with Ryan's assessment and also Brian House's assessment without having the experience that they have. Just because I've been in a lot of different professional, semi-professional settings over my adult life, and the easiest way to tell a professional tool from a do-it-yourselfer tool is how many functions does it provide? Because
Mm.
if you have one tool that's a good tool that's dedicated to that one thing, it's generally a better quality tool than things that are, multi-purpose. So you've got, my wife bought this thing called a sand deck, and it's like a Works brand, and she got this thing because it had all these different attachments that you could put on. It could be like a vibrating sander, it could do oscillating, it could do the fine tune, whatever. And the thing broke freaking constantly. And finally, when she was done with it, I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of thought that, the fact that it was all these different functions kind of was a pretty solid indication that it wasn't that quality of a tool. Because if you look at any professional in their job, they have dedicated tools for each dedicated operation that they do. And me as a mechanic, I have one tool for one job, and I have a lot of them.
Now, there's an exception to that rule, and I feel like that's 2x72 belt grinders. I feel like isn't there a sponsor on the show that's a 2x72 belt grinder, company?
I'm so glad you brought that up, B Cone.
Yeah, man.
I really am, because we got a new sponsor, and I'm super pumped about it. I'm like so humbled and floored by it, because it's like they're really just helping out a little guy. The size of us compared to the size of them is like, it's unbelievable. I mean, Ameribraid is sponsoring the Hustle and Grind podcast.
Honestly, I'm still a little bit in shock, and I am so grateful to them to be reaching out and helping us. And we're going to do our best to, provide the value to them and to you, our listeners. So this week we're announcing it. We're sponsored by Ameribraid. We're going to be getting some really cool products from them that we're going to be able to test and give you guys some feedback on and how we like them. But even without that, we can tell you that these are quality products, because we wouldn't have gotten a sponsorship from a company that wasn't quality products, that we knew had the reputation to stand behind, and were not only that, but just good members of the community that we wanted to help promote. So we're going to get some more specific feedback for you. We're going to get you guys some promo codes, bring you guys some value so that you can go and save some money on some of these machines. They have some incredible attachments and tools. Their machines are excellent. I mean, they have some of the coolest packages that you can buy and stuff, with all different kinds of cool attachments. The way that they have their machines set up is really awesome. Just the versatility and they have like VFD mounts. I mean, the way that they have their machines is really cool. So if you guys would go check out Ameribraid, see what they have to offer, see what might be useful to you, see what tools they have that could help you expand your personal, tool set. Not your tool set, but like your skill set. Because one of the things that I looked at that I'm going to be getting my hands on is they have a waterfall and integral bolster jig that you can put on your 2x72. And I cannot tell you how excited I am. And this is kind of where I was going to go with our goals this year. Is my goal this year is I want to get into integral chef knives, because that is something that I have always loved. I mean, when I see an integral chef knife, it does something for me that other styles just don't. I love that look. I love the balance. I love the feel of integral chefs. So I'm going to be pushing myself to do that this year. And that tool is going to help me to expand my skill set, expand my horizons, and really push myself to keep going with that. So I am super excited for Ameribraid to be coming on board with us. I'm super excited to try out some of their products. And can't wait to see where this goes, guys. I'm really excited.
And some people might say, like, but guys, their grinders run a 2-inch arm. And to that, I would say, yes, but they offer 1.5-inch arms for all of their accessories. So if you need a rotary platen, theirs is top quality, and they will offer it in a 1.5-inch arm for your Revolution, your BA Shredder, your any of the other brands that are out there, the Broadbacks,
Broadback.
everybody. Yeah, they provide fitment arms for all other brands too.
And most importantly, if you're listening to this and you run a Revolution, I know what you're thinking. Well, that 1.5-inch arm isn't going to fit into my Revolution because it's got rounded corners. their arms have rounded corners. It's not like a square stock of aluminum like a lot of other brands have. It's going to fit directly into your Revolution, and it's going to be a top quality attachment, whether it's a swall wheel attachment, whether it's the integral bolster grinder that I'm talking about, or a rotary platen, or any of their other awesome attachments that they have. It's going to fit your machine.
Now
They have a knife sharpening jig.
Mm.
Nice.
You slack platen, everything you can think of. They have a hollow grind jig that comes with an angle indicator.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another thing with Ameribraid, didn't they just have their Instagram hacked where like they had to start over from scratch again?
They do. So if you're listening to this, everybody hop over there. It's Ameribraid_official on Instagram and get their numbers back up. They were at 50,000 and I think they're up to about 2,500 right now.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's always been something on my mind. Like, oh my god, what happens if my social medias get hacked? Always, I mean, of course, you got to have two-step authentication on everything nowadays because there's so many people that lose a lot in their small business because their Instagram, their Facebook, whatever gets hacked, and all of a sudden they don't have a voice. They get overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
God, that's
brutal.
scary.
For sure. So more news to come, everybody, on Ameribraid as far as discounts, promo codes, and all the things that we'll be able to offer our listeners through their sponsorship. And this is going to be great. We're super excited.
Nice. Hell yeah. Moving up in the world, boys. I love it.
Yeah. He didn't even hesitate. I ask everybody. I shoot out messages all the time to people. You want to sponsor me? Brunt, IsoTunes, anybody that the knife making community like has a little bit of, they're invested a little bit in us. I'll shoot them a message. Usually I get turned down. Ameribraid didn't even hesitate. We'd love to.
Nice.
Perfect. Let's do this.
Let's go through the rest of the sponsors. Let's get them out of the way. I'm liking this role.
That's not a bad idea.
We'll go right now. We'll do Maritime Knife Supply.
Hustle and Grind is sponsored by Maritime Knife Supply. Whether you're looking for steel, abrasives, handle material, forges, epoxy, or anything for making in general, Maritime Knife Supply has you covered. And in the US or Canada, they ship faster than the great Cobra chicken goosesses that their country is known for. Go to Maritime Knife Supply, and when you buy a 10-pack of belts, get 10% off. And tell them we sent you, eh?
Thanks, Luke. Yeah.
Thanks, Luke.
That's a good one. And, we always talk about how much we love Lawrence. He just had an incredible Boxing Day sale on his website. So I hope everyone got in on that. Aside from that, he made a post. I think they sent out, it was in total like $6,000 worth of gift cards that they sent out to all of their good customers, all their best customers, the people that support them. So, talk about the community supporting itself. Everybody supporting each other. It was so awesome for Lawrence to do that. And anybody who, supports Maritime Knife Supply, I hope you got some great deals over the last week on the Boxing Day sale, and keep supporting our man, Lawrence Lake.
Man, I missed out on that this year because, I'm at that point where it's like, do I get it shipped to my old shop and all of a sudden it's just another thing I have to move?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I missed out. But hey, the thing is that his deals are always so well that you never really need the deals because they're already lower than most places that you find because of the Canadian to US exchange rate.
For sure.
That is true. And I know we always, I shop around. I'm one of those sort by low to high people when they're shopping on the internet. And Lawrence is consistently low in his prices compared to almost everywhere else on a regular basis.
Yeah, he sponsors the Work For It podcast, and I'm still a bastard. And I'll just take a peek at other places, but then I always come back because it's the lower prices.
Usually the only time I don't order something from Lawrence is if it's something I use he doesn't carry. There's just a couple of like little things. Like I like G-Flex epoxy. That's just my personal choice. That's what I always use on everything. Lawrence carries C Corp because he's Canadian. It is what it is. But it's always like small things like that. For the most part, there is nothing you can't find on his website. for the most part. I
I
mean,
just
he's
ordered
got
myself some new files. I'm pretty excited for doing my integrals that I'm going to be doing. Got some new files coming.
he's got
Sure.
checkering files. I want one so bad. So you can do like jipping on your spine with a
Dude,
file.
those checkering files are so nice for putting in jimping. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to find one on Amazon pretty early on in my knife making career, and I still use the same one because I mean, I very rarely put in jimping anymore. It's just something that I've kind of fallen off of. But when you do, it's like it's a no brainer. You need that because it's. I mean, you spend 10 minutes and you have perfect jimping in.
Yep. Yep.
Love
It's
them.
a pricey for one file, but I mean, it's worth every penny. They last forever. So everybody go check out Lawrence Lake over at Maritime Knife Supply.
Yeah, man.
And I felt like an idiot. I got a little thank you from him on that, the gift cards he sent out. And I didn't see his post. So I just randomly got an email that I had a gift card. And I messaged him. I go, what's this for? Is this still valid? he, he was like, yeah, it's this. Oh, I'm an idiot. My bad. Sometimes I get scrolling and I just scroll right past stuff.
Yeah, same here. I used to have so much junk mail in my Kohn Knives email that I basically had to go through and unsubscribe to everything except for things that persist to my knife making stuff. Just because, you get a couple hundred, emails a day of mostly of shit. And all of a sudden, you get something that you need and you just miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. It's just one of those little things, man.
All right, man. Let's do one more sponsor and get those bills paid, and that way we can move on.
Let's do it.
Phoenix Abrasives.
Hustle and Grind is sponsored by phoenixabrasives.com, your one-stop abrasive shop. They stock all the abrasive belts you need in all sizes. They also offer knife-making kits, which have all the goods you need in one kit, as well as hand sanding and buffing materials. Go to phoenixabrasives.com and use the code HUSTLE10 for 10% off your order.
Thanks, Luke.
There you go, gentlemen. PhoenixAbrasives.com. Everything you need right there.
They had an end of the year sale going on. It may still be going on. I'm not sure when it ended, but it was 11% off everything on the website.
Nice. See, I've never had Phoenix Abrasives. I for whatever reason they just missed my rotation of things I've ordered. So I guess I don't have very much experience with them, but everything I've heard has been positive.
Well, if you buy from them, you can use the promo code HUSTLE10 and get 10% off your entire order. And it also helps us too. It helps them track how much we generate from their sponsorship. So
nice.
It helps the boys.
Go get yourself some gator belts.
Yep. They've got pretty much every brand, type, size belt you can imagine. They got buffing wheels, surface conditioning, you name it.
Dude, I don't even want to talk about surface conditioning belts right now. I made such a mistake with them this week.
Did you catch
now
a
you
tip?
have to talk about it because now I want to hear it.
So I'm working on some Baker Forge and Tool steel, and I'm doing 3 different knives, 2 chef knives, and then one that was just like, I had 3.5 inches of left on the end of the billet. And it's like, you can't just throw that stuff away. You can't just set it aside. You got to make something cool out of it. So I started making this like cleaver it's 3.5 inches long and it's damn near 3 inches wide. So it's just like this little like square of a cleaver. And it had a little stick tang. So like, that's going to get buried in the handle, whatever. It's just honestly what I thought of it is, it'll be a cool little side project. And then also I can use it to like test what the steel etches like. So I can test on that one. And then when I'm doing the 2 chef knives, those ones can actually be done with some knowledge of what works best on this. It was bronze diamond mai from Baker.
Ooh, and that's a cool pattern.
Oh my God, it's so cool. It's so damn expensive. It's crazy, but it's worth it. I mean, one of them is a customer, and then the other one I'm doing a collaboration with the art of craftsmanship. So that's
nice. Devin
it's
and
gonna
Dustin
be really fun.
O'Hara.
Sure. Yeah, great guys for sure. But
Yeah,
anyway, so I'm working on this test little cleaver, And I've got the bevels ground in, ground it down to 0. And I'm, as I'm going up through the grits, I go all the way up to 600. And I just got some new. I've always had the ultra fine surface conditioning belts. I've always used them. They're just so nice. They leave a really nice finish. But in my last order, I forget when, I ordered the fine, which is the blue, and then the medium, which is like the maroon color, that brownish maroon color. So I thought, okay, I'm spending all this extra time, and I'm making sure every single scratch is out of it, all the way up through 600 grit. Well, let me just run through the surface conditioning as well. And I've never used the medium stuff, so I throw it on and I do one really heavy pass, and I'm like really going at it because I really lean into the surface conditioning belts. And I pull it away, and honest to God, it went from like a 600 grit, really nice scratch pattern, down to like, it looks like 36 grit scratches across it.
Really?
And it's like, oh my God, I spent all this time really finessing all of these grinds, and all of a sudden I'm back to 36.
Yeah, those surface conditioning belts, you kind of have to break them in, because when you first get them, the grit is like so solid on the outside. It's like a real abrasive. Like the coarse ones,
Yeah,
you could take metal away with them.
honestly, I did. I mean, looking at how deep of scratches, and there's a solid spark trail underneath of it, and maybe that should have like awakened my monkey brain of, oh, I'm grinding on this thing and I'm getting sparks, maybe it's putting in scratches. But no, I didn't think about it.
Oh, that's brutal. What speed were you running it at?
Oh shit, probably 80, 90.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just going at it, just working.
oh, geez.
I had my headphones on, I was probably listening to you guys, I was jamming out, and I wasn't thinking.
Oh man, yeah. I usually run those surface conditioning belts at a real low speed if I'm using them.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I do too, because they build up heat, and it's the last thing I do, so I don't want to like risk anything. But I've had close calls with them. I've caught the tip in them before.
Oh yeah, I've done that
So
too.
I was doing the spine on a chef knife up on the slack, not even thinking about it, and I tilted it up, and it caught the tip, and it like cleared my arm, like just barely missed my arm when it flew past me and hit the floor, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I
I
deserved
did
that. That was dumb.
I did the same thing when I first got my 2x72 on a buffing belt. And I was trying to do the bottom of the handle and just get that nice, really trying to polish up the tang. And I go around it, and it's just it had a flared back, like the flared back tip. I blanking, but anyways,
on the heel of the knife.
Right, up towards the tip. It was like that like a fillet knife, like I do my fillet knives.
Okay. All right.
So I'm trying to get the tang to really get polished around the handle, and all of a sudden it goes into the belt and it throws it actually into my face.
What?
And luckily the balance point was ever so slightly forward of the middle of the blade. Hey, I wasn't taking out any of the tang or any of that. I was still very new. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And basically I was doing the live stream at the exact same time. So,
oh my
my
gosh.
mom's on, Emily's on, a couple other family members were on, and I'm grinding away. I'm tired. It's after I worked at Target. I'm trying to do a live stream. I'm trying to be energetic, but, so I'm only half paying attention to what I'm actually doing. And I hit that, and it honestly felt like I got punched right in the face. It was right across my cheek. And I take a step back off camera, and I just kind of like stop, like, what the hell just happened? I'm looking for the knife, and I like itch my face, and I pull my hand away, and it's just covered in blood. And I take a step back onto camera, and like there's blood gushing down into my beard. And all of a sudden, like, and I just like look at myself in the camera like, oh my God. And I immediately hit the stop on the live stream, and immediately my mom calls, Emily calls, a few other people call, freaking out.
Up.
Right. Phone just absolutely starts, going crazy. Meanwhile, I'm trying to like, is my cheek missing? Like, what is it? Luckily, the balance point was right there close at the center. So the very end of the tip, I had two very thin scratches across my cheek. So like the very tip of the blade went around, did a revolution, did another one ever so slightly deeper, and then the heel of the knife punched me the end of the knife the handle punched me in the face and then fell into the water bucket. So yeah, that was my close call, and why I immediately bought those face shields. And it's just one of those things, especially if you learn how to make knives and you don't have a mentor, you tend to learn things the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
Crazy shit.
That's true.
I've broken too many belts. I think I've broken more than anybody that I know of. Like, it just happens to me on a regular basis.
That time where it slapped you on the top of the head and like took away big chunks.
Split me open right there. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. I think I pushed too hard.
I think I've only broken one belt. I think that's it.
Now, when you tighten your belts, Ryan, are you like really cranking those things tight?
No, it's like halfway on the piston. It's like, I think it's me. I think I push too hard when I'm profiling, because it's always when I'm profiling. Actually, I can't say that, because when it hit me in the head, I was doing a bevel, but that was the only time I've ever had one snap, and it's always the seam lets go.
Is it that your platen is too far forward of the edge of your wheels?
I use a straight edge and I line them all up.
Oh, no
shit! I hold it against. So I've checked everything. That's the only thing I can think of, is I'm pushing too hard, or I'm getting them too hot, and that's why the seams are failing.
That could be,
because it's always while I'm profiling.
Noah, I mean, Brian and I have shared some dumb shit we've done. Noah, I feel like it's your turn.
Oh my gosh, I've
Put
done plenty of dumb stuff. Oh, okay, well, here we go. Here's one. This is not knife making related, because I don't injure. Well, I injure myself when I'm knife making, but it's always small, like stupid things where I just like grind a knuckle off or something like that. I mean, I've been cutting something on the bandsaw and then just like pushed through and then like cut my thumb. That one I was so mad at that one, because it's like, it's the face of my right thumb. Like, I'm a mechanic and a knife maker. Like, are you kidding me? Now I have to not use my thumb for like 2 weeks. I was pissed about that one. One of the worst ones I've ever done is I was going hunting, and so there's this mountain near my work. I was going hunting after work. Get off work, hop in the truck, and I go blasting up Birch Mountain Road. And I drive, well, I still have it, but I don't drive it anymore. This rattly old 87 lifted Chevy half ton. And it's always been a bit of a project truck. You know, I've basically rebuilt the thing from the engine, transmission, everything. I've done it all. And at the time, I think I had just redone the engine or something like that. And so I'm blasting up this road. And I mean, it's a road, but it's gravel, potholes. Like, it's a mountain road. It's not like a paved or even like a nicely graded road. Like, it's a mountain road. And I'm blasting up there to try and get to the tree line so that I can do some hunting before it gets dark. And I'm going up and I start hearing this real bad noise. And it's like something's clunking around and I can't figure out what it is, you know? So I pulled off and I stopped and I'm looking around underneath the truck to see what's loose, you know, because it's just something loose and clunky and I can't figure out what it is. So I'm looking around. I grab the spring shackle and I grab the front drive line, and then I grab the exhaust pipe.
Oh, no.
Because I wasn't thinking, and I mean, everything's the same color when you're driving up a dirty, dusty road. And, you know, I was just, you know, in a very caffeinated state of mind, you know, jazzed up to go up and go hunting. And I grabbed the exhaust pipe just for a second, and I mean, I had been blasting up this road. I mean, it's a steep mountain road at, you know, 40 miles an hour. So it was not cold. Yeah. And I burnt the crap out of the palm of my hand. And I hop up in the bed of my truck, open up the truck box, and find my first aid kit. And I don't have any burn gel in the first aid kit, but I do have like one of those emergency ice packs. And I've never used one of the emergency ice packs, but you've got like, there's like a little bladder in there that you break and it creates a chemical reaction and it freezes so that you can have a cold pack. So I open it up and I can't figure out where the thing is. So I'm like, oh shoot, there's another layer. I got to open it up.
Damn it.
So I opened it up and all the chemical that's in there spilled all over my hand. And so now I've got a hot burn from the exhaust and a chemical burn from whatever the heck is in this cold pack. So I'm sitting there, I'm almost in tears. Like this thing, like it's already blistered up. Like some of my skin is still on the exhaust pipe. And I just got so angry. And I'm like, you know what? No, like, because back when I used to rifle hunt, the season here in Washington for rifle is literally 2 weeks long. That's all you have all year.
Wow.
And so I'm like, no, I am not. This is not happening. So I blast the rest of the way up to the tree line, and I'm like, all right, I can barely see because I'm like in this searing pain. And I go up to this road that I hadn't been on before, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go on this road here. And oh man, this is pretty tight. And it's not a road, it's a Jeep trail. And I go around this corner, and there wasn't enough space, and I hit a tree, and it wrecked right into my bedside. And just, I mean, there's this big old dent in the side of my truck. And I'm one of those people that like really loves their truck. Like, I'm kind of like, it has a name. Like, I love my truck. Like, her name is Babe the Blue Ox because it's a big blue old Chevy pickup truck, and she's an ox. She'll go anywhere. She'll do anything. She'll haul anything, you know? So she got that nickname, and I was so freaking upset. And I was like, all right, I guess I can't do this. If I can't even drive, I can't shoot a deer, you know? Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just so stubborn, you know? So I go back down the mountain in defeat. I swing by the gas station and grab a bag of ice, and I drive home with my hand on this bag of ice on my lap, just trying to cool my hand down. And I go home, and I pour myself a glass of Jameson. I sit on the couch, and my wife's like, "What? What happened? What's wrong?" I was like, "I wrecked my truck." And she's like, "What? You wrecked your truck?" I'm like, "I messed up my truck. I burned my hand." She had like no idea what's going on because like I'm in so much pain. I can't talk. Like my whole hand is just a giant blister at this point, and I'm so upset that I messed up my truck. And she's just like, "What happened? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I messed up my truck." Yeah, that was a bad day.
And then you wrote a new pop country song about it.
I burned my hand. I wrecked my truck.
I got no deer.
Couldn't shoot a deer. It was like I'm looking in the headlights.
I've had quite a few.
God, why did this fall together so quickly? I'm telling you, you guys need to make an album.
Why don't the three of us make a country band? You can be the tuba player.
Oh yeah, I'll play my trombone. Sure.
Yeah, your trombone. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a tuba.
That's all right.
But I've had some pretty decent burns working in restaurants over the years. Like Applebee's used to do a burger night. It was $5.99 for burger and unlimited fries. And
oh my God,
it was like crazy busy. We used to saran wrap my forearms, so that I could reach over to the back of the grill without getting like horribly grease burned from the burger splatter.
Oh yeah.
But the worst burn I ever got, I think I was 16 or 17 years old, and I was working at KFC Taco Bell. And when they filter their fryer oil, they drained it into this big external filtering unit that had a spout, like a faucet that went back into the fryer, and you'd fill up like a metal container and like clean the fryer out with it. So I'm filling up this metal container, just kind of zoned out. They let you wear headphones, and my manager's like, "Ryan," and I take my headphones off, and he's like, "You got a phone call." And I went, "What?" And I stuck my hand under the spout.
Oh.
300 and whatever degree boiling hot, freshly drained fryer oil. And I fucking dropped the bucket, and I went, "Oh," and I dropped to my knees, and my manager and another guy saw it, and they ran over and they picked me up. But what was worse was you couldn't put it in the sink because it was like filthy ass 100-degree dishwater.
Right.
You couldn't put it in the sanitizer tub because it's like alcohol and chemicals.
Right.
So they shoved my hand into the ice bin.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Then you have to drain the ice bin.
Well, that wasn't the problem. When they pulled my hand out, all the skin was gone.
Yeah.
Because they shoved my hand into hard ice.
Yeah.
trying to cool it down, and when I pulled it out, all that blistered skin was in the ice, and I was like, I was fucked up for months after that. I had to
Yeah.
keep my hand wrapped and covered, and my hands have taken a beating over the years.
Dude, I was going to complain about grabbing the wrong end of the tongs, but Jesus Christ, boys. Y'all need to take it easy.
And one time when I was like 7, I was riding on my, this is going to date me, but I had a banana board, like one of them like long skinny skateboards, and I was riding it in my driveway, and I didn't realize that my mom had the grill on because she was making hot dogs, and I rode up to the grill, and I went to stop myself, and I put my hand right on the top of the cover. Yeah.
Now there's a permanent handprint on that grill.
I don't remember. It was 30 years ago now, but I remember the pain, and I remember like a week later, I would sit there and like try and crack the scabs on my hand, like because I was a kid, you know. I'm like, kids are dumb, but yeah.
Safe to say that none of us here are ever going to be hand models.
Yeah, man. That ship has sailed a long time ago.
Yeah, go watch some of my reels. It's like embarrassing. Like my hangnails and like fucking you get like ferric on your fingers and it stains your nails yellow for like a month, and yeah.
Yep.
Nothing as bad as Fader's fingers though. Especially if you watch the Epicurious video.
Oh yeah?
Why does he have fucked up fingers?
Oh yeah, of course. That was this whole thing when he was on the Epicurious video where he's comparing one knife to the other. Most of that comment section is talking about how his hands are just so gnarly. But yeah, I mean, you work with your hands all your life. That shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to bring up the flea bags.
He calls us the flea bags.
Right.
Well, I should be fair. He's never come out and said the hustle and grind guys are flea bags. But that one time I was on a live and I was annoying him, and you were on that live watching, I'm pretty sure he did drop the flea bag in there at one point.
Well, that was just one of those things. You go on a live stream and he gets all amped up about nothing. A lot of us do. Whenever we're on live stream, you got to kind of, put on a show and all that fun shit. So
I wasn't trying to piss him off. I was like, hey man, you want to come on the show? But when you're typing and texting, there's no like inflection on your words. You can't tell how somebody said something. And then he just kept responding, and so I kept responding, and then he kept responding, and
there's always that little delay where somebody said something, and by the time you type it out, it's already like a half a conversation away. So like, you're responding to something, and they're not talking about it, and like, what is it? What the hell are you trying to talk about?
Yeah, I don't. Ugh. I'd like to have Jeff Fader on the show. It'd be interesting to talk to the guy. He's a wealth of knowledge. Dude knows a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I want to get him down on a interview show, but it just has never worked out.
The one-on-one, yeah, that'd be cool.
I need to get those things back going. Something fierce.
I'd like to get any of the big names on, though. I'd love to get Fader on, Mareko, Kamimura, Kayla Cummings if she wanted to. I don't care. Anybody. Anybody who our listeners can learn something from, I'm interested in having on the show.
I mean, you guys got Jason Knight and Noah Vachon, and I mean, y'all are on your way. What are you talking about?
Jason Knight's coming on again.
Dude, that guy has, I mean, can you imagine the roller coaster of emotion he must be on of, the high of that Kickstarter just going gangbusters and then the low of your shop getting burnt down? Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy. He seems to be pretty, he seems pretty durable, like
I feel
a lot
bad.
of people.
Oh, sorry.
A lot of people that would crush him, you know what I mean? But he's just kind of rolling with it, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem to have gotten his spirits down at all. He's coming on the last episode in March, and we talked about it not talking about knives at all, and it being an aliens and crazy shit only episode.
Dude, that's gonna be a good one for sure.
That's gonna be a lot of fun because I've been finding out some interesting information on the internet lately, so I'm saving it all for that aliens episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. But while we're talking about Jason Knight, the GoFundMe for Tristan and Abigail Knight, and you can find this linked off of Jason's social media, Tristan's social media, or if you want to, you can just Google GoFundMe Tristan and Abigail Knight, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. So Tristan and his wife, they're actually expecting a kid very soon. And
Just born.
so, oh, really?
Yeah, he posted pictures of cute little baby.
I
Nice.
totally missed that. Okay. All right. So brand new kid, just lost the shop where they used to work in, just lost all of his tools. So there's a GoFundMe to help them out. It looks like as of right now, when we're recording this, they've raised $9,810 to help them out with the cost of rebuilding, getting all their tools back, and getting back in business. So if you're interested or can, go check out that GoFundMe. And while we're on the topic, Pickle's fundraiser for his sister-in-law and his brother is going really well. I think we're up over 13,000 or so raised for them.
Damn.
And when I last looked, there was 21 knives, 3 axes, and a few other things that have all been donated. So there's and a number of, I think, speaking, Lawrence is in there along with you, Ryan, for some maker giveaways. So people that have contributed that are makers. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you can win, and it's going to a great cause for some people that are struggling with some serious medical conditions. So go check out Pickle Cutters once again on Instagram. Get in on that fundraiser. I'm really, dude, $13,000. That's freaking amazing. Good job, everyone. I'm so happy with that. I sent off the knife that I was donating this last week, so he should get that soon. I posted pictures of it on my Instagram, so if you want to go take a look at that, there's some other amazing knife makers that have put in some awesome stuff. So really proud of the community and the way that they've rallied on that one.
Yeah, I almost feel bad a little bit because when I saw that post, I immediately hit up Pickle and like, hey, I want to get in on this, and sent him basically the list of knives that I have that I've made and haven't sold yet. And he picked one, and it happens to be the one that's at my leather guy's workshop because he has the storefront and he's selling knives and a thing, and he's off all of this week on vacation. So hopefully early this upcoming week I can finally get in there and get it sent. I don't want to be like the guy that's holding everything up.
Worst comes to worst, you can just do what I'm doing and just send it directly to the winner.
Oh, that could
so
be a thing.
Whoever wins my handle material out of the makers, I'm just going to ship the box to them.
See, I kind of want to send something over to Pickle just so I can like get something in his hand so I can be like, oh, I like this, I don't like that, and that type of a thing.
So you have ulterior motives.
This is a good opportunity to get some work into another maker's hand. Just maybe get some feedback,
That's true.
That's fair. I get that.
I got a handle material right here waiting for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I can't stretch. We got some.
Oh.
Wood.
Ooh,
and then
pretty.
This is some I did this myself.
Nice.
Damn, that's pretty.
And then you guys that are listening to the audio only version are missing out because that has some beautiful double dyed wood there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting my method down pretty pat, so I think I'm going to start sending out chunks of my own stuff for people to test.
Now, say again what exactly it is, because I think you were leaned just far enough away that we couldn't hear you on the mic.
When?
The materials that you just put up.
Oh, the ones for you? The orange and green are compressed hempwood.
Dude.
And then this one is silver maple that I dyed. And the dark came out kind of like grayish. It's supposed to be midnight black. And then the red came out really nice. And that's silver maple from right down the street from my house.
I don't need all that. Why are you sending me so much?
Dude, I have 300 blocks of maple waiting. I've got probably 200 more pounds of burls that need to be chopped up. Curly maple that needs to be chopped up.
I need to rephrase that. I said I don't need that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm an addict when it comes to like collecting handle materials. But, I feel like you're being too generous, man. That's so much.
No.
Thank you.
No, Well, I mean, you asked me for a bolster's worth, and I was like, I got you.
That's what I'm saying,
But
because I'm doing I'm making a knife for a pretty large video game streamer on TikTok and Twitch and a few other different things. I'm making a big ass chef knife for him. And he wanted his whole, he smokes on camera and he does all that fun stuff. Mostly it's like this Skate 3, like trying to do these tricks on Skate 3. I don't know. He saw my TikTok and he reached out and he said, "Hey, I want, maybe we can get an order for something." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll make you something awesome and you can shout me out and all that fun stuff." But yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of like hemp wood up by the bolster, just because, hey, it just kind of all ties in.
have you ever worked with hempwood?
Not at all.
Make sure you seal it with something.
Oh yeah.
Don't just go for like the high buff finish, because it will like fray and get rough
Interesting.
over time. Yeah, you have
What
to
do you?
seal it with something like a CA, like do like a CA finish or True Oil or something like that. I mean, obviously not True Oil if it's going to be for food, but
Right. See, I didn't know that. It was just the CA glue, the super glue, seal it
yeah,
all up.
like
Yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
simple.
yeah, it's not
Nice.
bad. The stuff looks super cool when it's finished.
For sure. I mean, it looks cool just from what I could see over that camera.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to mention. I know there's a lot of makers out there. Everybody knows everybody's lives change sometimes. Jamie the Squid is selling off his entire shop.
Whoa, what the
Um,
hell happened?
nothing bad. His family wants to travel cross country and like, go be free and see the world basically. And so he's going to go do that for a while. And then when he gets back to wherever he settles down, he's going to build a proper shop. But he's I'm already claiming all the consumables like belts and shit like that. He's getting me making a pile and making a price for me, but he's got multiple band saws. He's got Revolution. He's got a Vander Sander. He's got motors, VFDs, wheels, forges, acetylene torches, fucking anything you can imagine that we would need in one of our shops. He's got, and he's selling it. So
Wow.
hit up Jamie the Squid if there's anything out there anybody needs. So
Wow.
All right. Wow. That's intense. I saw he had some stuff up for sale. I didn't know what was going on though.
yeah, no, he's just clearing house because they're selling their house and they're just banking up all their assets into liquid cash so that they can go and travel and see the world and fucking be free.
Sounds like a
Cool.
fun time, honestly.
Well, I
Yeah,
got one thing I want to go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I got one thing I want to talk about. So, if there's one thing that I can tell you guys, you listeners out there, is that I will never lie to you. So
Okay.
I have something that I need to get off my chest here. So a couple episodes back, I was talking about my new kiln, and I talked about all the amazing things that you get for such a low price. And as soon as I got done with that podcast, talking up this kiln so much and saying how great it was, I went out to my shop and I flipped it on, and it blew the breaker immediately. And then I went and I checked my wiring, and I was like, "Huh, is something wrong?" And I turned it on again, and it blew the breaker again. And I'm not going to bore you with a long story, but basically, it had a short in the relay. So there was an internal short in the relay. But here's the good part of the story. I got in touch with Paragon. They helped me diagnose it because obviously they can't just say, "Oh, it's doing that. Well, it must be this." So luckily, I'm a mechanic. I brought home my multimeter. I tested a few things. We got it narrowed down, and they sent me out parts to fix it because it was brand new. So they warrantied out the parts for me. I swapped it out, no problem. So it's not like I had to ship off the kiln and have them go repair it and then ship it back to me and spend a bunch of time, screwing around with that. They were able to help me diagnose it. They FedExed like overnight or 3-dayed me the parts to get it fixed. My kiln is back up and running, but I just had to tell you guys that happened to me because I talked it up a lot, was talking about how great and awesome it was and how there was nothing wrong with it. Well, and then literally within an hour of me recording that podcast, I went out to try and heat treat a knife, and then boom, it was done. I couldn't do anything with it. So
Sounds like good customer service, though.
it was excellent customer service. And this is, we've talked about, building kilns versus buying kilns and stuff like that. If I had built that kiln myself, what am I going to do? How do I know what's wrong? I had a wiring diagram that I could go off of with this. I had customer service. I had, really friendly, knowledgeable people helping me out. And so I really appreciated that. And I wanted to shout out to Paragon for getting that stuff to me so quickly, being so quick and easy to contact me. I mean, I was talking to people on the phone. I was texting people. Like it was really great. The customer service that I got. So I'll shout out to Paragon for that, but it kind of sucked. Not going to lie.
And if Paragon wants to sponsor the Hustle and Grind podcast, we would be amenable to working out some sort of deal.
Now, it wasn't straight through Paragon. It was like a sub company that made that thing. Is that right?
Well, it's a Paragon oven. It's made by Paragon, but it's made to a specific. They don't. Paragon doesn't make that oven and sell that oven through their regular retailers. It's a USA knife maker supply company only product. That's a collaboration between their Knife Dogs brand and Paragon. So you can't buy that oven directly from Paragon, but it is a Paragon oven that's made for USA Knife Maker.
See, that would have been like where, as soon as you started talking about there being issues, I was envisioning, oh, well, yeah, it's a Paragon oven, but it's not our name on the side. You're going to have to talk to those guys about it and kind of give you the runaround. So it's awesome that Paragon stepped up to the plate and got you squared away.
Was it the same lady?
No.
That you talked to about the paint color? Like, she's like, shit, it's that baby poop brown guy again.
No, that lady was from USA Knife Maker. So for that issue, I contacted them. But this issue, I was like, there's no point in me even talking to USA Knife Maker. They're just going to direct me to Paragon. So I cut out the middleman and went straight to them, and they helped me get squared away really, really well. So shout out to them.
Nice.
Really appreciated that customer service. And stuff happens. Like I imagine any brand of oven can have issues. You're talking about electrical issues. If I'm a mechanic, what's the number one thing that goes wrong on vehicles? Electrical concerns. So
I was going to say sensors, but yeah, electrical issues too.
Well, sensors are, same thing, sensors, electrical issues. It's all the same, So am I surprised? No. Disappointed a little bit because I'd only used it maybe 4 or 5 times before it broke, but clearly it was just, it was a part. It wasn't like it was manufactured poorly. It wasn't like when they assembled it, something went wrong. It was, I'm sure they don't make their own relays. It's probably a part that they order in, and then that goes into the assembly of their ovens. So,
in my experience in the small engine world, because at my work we sell everything, big giant commercial zero turns all the way down to the tiniest little chainsaws. If you're gonna have an issue, it's gonna be within the first couple times you use it.
Hey, there you go. So you just found the weak link, and now you got it fixed.
Yeah, because like Noah said, it's all assembled parts from different places. You know what I mean? So like most of the time, if we see a failure, like on a mower, the starter was bad from the factory, or it was a junk battery from the factory. It happens all the time.
Sure.
Yep. So now I just got to wait for it to warm up, and then I can paint the oven black, and then I'll be happy.
Oh, so it's still baby puke orange or green or whatever, like that weird brownish color.
It's still baby poop brown because I try to keep my shop above 30 degrees because I don't like my stuff freezing, but it's still not warm enough to paint. So once the weather gets above like 50 degrees or something, I'll paint it.
I want to pick your guys' brain because I am like right getting down to the last. It's Friday. We get our keys now. So it's very soon that I'm going to be in the new shop starting to set things up and figuring things out. I want to hear your guys' pitch as to, what is an absolute must for a shop and what should I try to stay away from?
As far as setting your shop up, my advice would be the first thing you want to do is probably check your local building codes, because any changes you make to the shop that aren't up to code, if something were to happen, your homeowner's insurance won't cover it. Or at least here in Maine, that's the case. So like I wanted to put OSB on the walls in my shop because it's durable. You can mount right to it. Fire code in Maine is 5/8 fire rock. It can't be OSB. So
Interesting.
that's why I went with sheetrock because I had to. They made me,
So I
bastards.
should actually look at the codes and, do it proper.
Yeah, you should because if something happens, and your homeowners doesn't cover it, then you owe the bank for a burning pile of rubble.
Right. Oof.
Yeah, that's a good point. And especially because I think you talked about on your podcast, you're going to have to do some electrical upgrades and stuff like that. So doing all that before you put whatever your sheeting is going to be on there, you don't want to have to rip all that stuff back down to get back into it. So,
And I noticed from the pictures you sent me, your studs look like they're 24 inches apart, not 16 inches apart.
They are 24 inches apart.
So I would check the code on that. They may make you add some extra studs, which is no big deal. I mean, it's like $3 for a 2x4, and
it
then you just
was
cut them to
$3
length.
for a 2x4.
Lumber's going back down, but you just cut them to length and put them where they need to be, and you can toenail screw them in place. It's not You don't have to rip anything out to add more studs.
Right.
But
Well, that should be fairly simple. How about like layout? Is there something that you love in your shop that you couldn't live without?
I have a lot of benches, and I need more benches. Like
Okay.
you can never have too much bench space, in my opinion, and shelving, storage for like all your little random things that might collect on your bench. Like if like for example, I etch my logos, so I've got like a little station for etching my logos, and then I got a little station for stabilizing, and then I've got a main bench that's on wheels that I can move around the shop.
Well, they're
So
all
if
in
I,
Maine. They should all be Maine benches.
Oh,
ah,
Let me get my trombone out real quick.
yeah, no
Sorry.
kidding.
that was a good one. That was a good one. You were quick on that one. But
Sorry about it.
Go
like
ahead, Ryan.
my mobile bench is the one, like if I'm doing an odd job or I'm gluing up handles or something like that. Like that's the primary bench I use, and then the rest of them are set up for specific jobs like kydex, stabilizing, shit like that. The grinding bench is the one that I would pay the most attention to because I didn't when I built mine, and I need to rip it out again.
Oh
So
no.
it needs to be changed. It's like at first it was too high, now it's too short. I want to put both my grinders side by side, and yeah, it's so.
How about you, Noah?
Well, I'm going to disagree with Ryan in a very small way. I don't like having a lot of benches because I am horrible about covering them in crap. So I really like shelving, and I like hooks and shelving, and I like exposed shelving because the way that my brain works is that if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. So I have my main bench where I do the majority of my tasks, whether it's gluing something up or hand sanding, little stuff like that. And I just have all of my stuff within basically arm's reach of that bench. The other thing about that bench is it is standing height so that I am not holed into this one place where I can sit at this bench because I don't want to be sitting at my bench because it makes me feel claustrophobic. I can't move around. I can't grab stuff. So my standing height bench is where I do the majority of my work that's not grinding or forging.
I'm less productive if I'm sitting.
Yeah. Same.
For sure. So, and I mean, I have a stool that's like a tall stool, so I can still sit at that bench if I'm going to be there, in one spot for a long period of time. So I have that option, but having that height there is huge for me. And then around that, I have hooks. I have all my clamps over here on these hooks. I have the longer clamps over here on these hooks. I've got my magnets where I have the knives that I'm currently working on. And just having that sort of like main base of operations that you can operate from and work through. I have a large set of shelves to my left where I have all of my kydex equipment. So my kydex press, all of my sheets of kydex, those are all on these shelves over here to my left. That I all keep in those shelves, and then I bring it down to my main workbench when I'm doing kydex, and then it gets put away afterwards some of the time. It should be all of the time, but yeah. So, and then I have, all of my liquids in this cabinet, all of this in this cabinet, and just having that all there. And then I have my metal bench, and my steel bench is where I do all my welding. I have my ground set up so I can just clamp directly to the bench. I have my leg vise, which is attached to the metal bench. I've got my oven over there as well, so that hot steel is all on the metal bench. Anything that's hot is going to stay over there in that area. Aside from that, I have my press and my grinder next to each other. That's more out of necessity than it is anything else. They don't need to be next to each other. But then I have my vacuum set up right next to my grinder so that when I'm doing wood, I can just move the hose over and just suck up all the wood dust that's coming off of the grinder. And then I can clean up all the metal dust and everything that goes around the grinder because my vacuum is always there. It's always plugged in and I can just grab it straight from there. And I have one of those little tornado dust collecting buckets on that attached into my vacuum so that I don't have to worry about it clogging up the filter all the time.
So it sounds like you guys are not proponents of trying to build a grinder room to try to keep all the dust all contained inside of a small little section.
If I had the space, 100% I would, because that's the biggest thing in my shop that's an issue is dust everywhere. Like I keep all my podcast stuff out here set up, and if I'm grinding, I'll have to come over and wipe off my laptop, and it accumulates everywhere. So
how much space do you have?
26 by 28.
Okay, so I mean you're a little bit larger than what I'm going to be in, but it's not that much larger.
I have a load supporting wall in the middle though, so I've got a wall that separates it. So
gotcha.
I thought about putting it upstairs because it's 2 stories and doing all my grinding upstairs like in a booth.
Oh my God, in the summer you would die
just from the heat. It's like 110 degrees up there in the summertime.
Oh yeah, screw that.
I'd have to put an air conditioner in.
How big is your new shop, Kohn?
It's going to be 19 by 24.
That's a good size.
19 by 24. So yeah, so you're going to have room to where, I mean, even if you just hung like that thick plastic sheeting and just gave yourself a level of separation to separate your grinders, that's going to cut down on the dust on the rest of the shop quite a bit. I don't have that option. So my new smaller shop, I used to be in a 30 by 30 shop, and I was going to wall off a grinder area. I just never got around to it. And then I moved to my smaller shop, which is probably closer to like 12 by 16 or so. Mm-hmm. So, which don't get me wrong, I like it. I like the smaller shop because it forces me to be more organized and I can't move stuff around and I'm not running from place to place because everything's closer together and I can keep it heated and I can keep it cool. So I like my new shop. I just don't have the opportunity to create a grinding room in it.
Yeah, I should probably point out too, I don't use my entire shop for knife making. Like behind me, see that dirty piece of wood?
Yeah.
My grinder's behind that. And then most of the knife making's done on that half. And then over here, like where my four-wheeler is
I was going to say, does that count as a love you?
Where my four-wheeler is, that's like where it lives. So that area's for like my rupsters against the wall over there. So there's like a quarter of the shop's used for like my snowblower and shit like that. Another quarter of the shop's where my wood stove and the heater is, and my TV and my chair. That's like my man cave spot.
That's a hard thing to have in the shop.
It takes
TV and a chair. Oh my God, I would just get nothing done.
It takes some discipline. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I'll take a break and I'll sit down and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to sit for 10 minutes. And then an hour goes by and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get up. I got to do something. But the other half is all knife making. And upstairs.
So you said you were in 24 by 28?
26 by 28.
So roughly you're cut that in half and that's your knife section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I just had to visualize that a little bit.
Yeah, my oven lives on the non-knife making side because it's on a cart, so I just wheel it around, and when I need to do a batch, I just wheel it over by the grinder and plug it in. So I've got it set up that way, but I feel like the more knives I'm making, because I'm making considerably more knives than I was last year, that
50 a
I'm
month
gonna
at least now.
I haven't gotten another order from them yet, but it's only been like a week.
Sure.
So I try not to get my hopes up, because then I get disappointed when it doesn't happen.
I feel that.
But yeah,
Just keep your expectations low, and then you'll never be disappointed.
There it is.
I didn't succeed in my New Year's deadline on all my orders, but I succeeded in enough of them where I feel good about it. So I had to have 64 out in 6 weeks, and I got 61 of them out.
Oh, come on.
And
goodness, just jack a couple days on there and call it a success.
The other 3 were buddies of mine, so they didn't mind that I missed the deadline. But
that's good.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd still call that a success. That's an insane amount of knives in a short.
It's a hell of a lot more than I made. Jesus.
When I shipped them all out, I slept for like a day.
I bet you did.
Because the stress was over, you know what I mean? And then, so I was like, I'll just sleep today. Fucking out. I went to bed at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. The wife was making dinner and I fell asleep and I just didn't get back up.
I've had days like that.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's my neurodivergent brain. Like I'll go hard for like a month and then I'll crash.
But the thing is like you have to be able to get yourself up after your crash. And like, I do that same thing where I go through these waves of motivation and then crashing. And it's just like, you have a couple solid weeks of just, wake up at 4 and I'm in my shop an hour away by 4 or 5:15. Yeah. And like, there's just something about it where you get in that mindset and all of a sudden you're just working your ass off. You're working, 12, 13-hour days. And all of a sudden you start to eat. Yeah, that happens too, for sure. And not me. I tend to eat when I need to eat, but, and then all of a sudden you start getting sore and you start getting tired. And all of a sudden I start to like, oh, well, I could edit a video I shot today instead of going to the shop, or, oh, the podcast is coming up, maybe I just don't.
I've found
ups
now
and downs, man.
That even when I'm stressed about how many orders I've got to get out or deadlines or things like that, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do now, because I'm only happy when I'm out here making stuff.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that gets me back every single time is like, okay, so I end up spending an unplanned day of just, hey, I'm at home and I'm doing chores and I'm doing things and, just not being productive for the small business. And then you force yourself to go the next day and all of a sudden you're right back to where you were before you started the decline.
Yeah. When I'm not out here, all I'm thinking of is being out here and what I'm going to do when I get out here. You know what I mean? And like what I need to do, what needs to get done, what steps I'm at with this knife or that knife, or
yeah.
I'm obsessive.
There's something about it. I mean, I don't know if I have a little bit of the neurodivergent. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with all the concussions. I mean, the concussions obviously don't give you neurodivergence at all, but like, I have a lot of those tendencies. I'm sure if I took a test, I'd probably, I don't know if you call it a pass or fail.
It's not necessarily something you're born with. Trauma can cause it.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
Ooh, so I could just blame the way that I am on my brain surgery. Like that's
sure.
I could just. All right. Yeah.
That's so wild. We were talking about it before the podcast. That is a wild setup you've got going.
Unlike Lady Gaga, I was not born this way.
We're an hour and a half in, boys.
Yeah, man. Going strong.
We haven't even done Florida Man yet.
Dude, oh my gosh, I forgot about Florida Man.
Dude, let's keep this conversation going. I want to do a full Joe Rogan on this show. I want to be, I remember, I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before you talked about, oh, well, now you're officially the longest podcast that we've done. I'm going to blow that shit out of the water.
Dennis Tyrell's an hour and 54 minutes. We can do it. I got nothing to do.
Let's go.
I don't know if I can handle that. I've already driven like 2.5 hours today.
Noah, you've been kind of quiet over there. What's going on in your shop this week? It's the new year. What's going on?
Noah didn't tell us his goals for the year.
Come on, we keep skipping Noah.
Actually, I didn't tell mine either. I didn't tell mine either. We're also ADHD. Right. We go off on tangents.
I totally forgot. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So my goals for this year, I already talked about the integrals. I'm going to do a lot of those. I need to do a better job of promoting myself, and that's something that every time I listen to a Brian House podcast, I get lectured on. I love you, Brian. I didn't mean that like as a bad lecture. That's a good lecture, and I appreciate you. And I love everything that you had to say. But it makes me feel bad about myself because it's like I don't do that, you know. So that's a big goal for me this year. Is I'm going to do a better job of promoting myself, of promoting my knives, and the other stuff that I make. And my biggest resolution is that I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to be healthy.
Good for you, man.
You're the thinnest one out of the three of us.
It was a joke. I was just trying to piss off Brian House. So I've actually we talked about this before. I've actually been going to the gym for like the last month and a half, I think, and let me tell you, I freaking love it. So like I get up and I go to the gym every single day. And it is so good. And I told you all that when I started doing it, I was doing it for my mental health, not my physical health. And it's definitely helped. I will say, like all you guys out there that are neurodivergents like me and Ryan and obsessive compulsive. And if you're like me, extreme anxiety and the inability to calm down and focus and handle things.
Same.
Going to the gym is a huge thing. Going to the gym helps you burn, like Joe Rogan said, like burn that anxiety out, the leftover primal instinct to always be on alert, looking for the next lion trying to kill you, like it has been awesome for that. I love it. I lost 5 pounds in the first week and now I'm starting to gain it back in muscle. So
good for you, man.
I am freaking loving it. And like, I can also already notice a difference. I had a little dad bod cookie jar that showed up when I turned 30. And I'm working that away, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to continue to go to the gym. It's not a resolution. It has nothing to do with the new year. One thing that I am doing though is I'm going to be doing dry January, and that's less of a resolution than it is just, how freaking hard it is to stop drinking like during the holidays. Like every time you turn. Well, I know you don't, Ryan.
See, my trick is I just don't drink to begin with.
Right. Neither of you guys drink. That's right. I forgot about that. That's so crazy. Okay. Everyone I know drinks. So it's so tough to like get away from it, like it's so ingrained in like the culture around me and like everything has to do with drinking, So I'm doing dry January and they're doing like a wellness challenge at work where, I won't get into that, but one of the things is to not drink for the entire challenge, which is 90 days. So I'm going to shoot for the 90 days. I'm not committing fully to the 90 days, but I'm going to be doing dry January at the very least and try and figure out a way to fall asleep other than drinking every single night, which is not healthy. And I know it's not healthy, but my brain won't shut up when I need to go to sleep. So that's what I do. And so I'm going to try and do this. I think it's going to be good for me. I'm excited. I actually am excited because now it's set in stone, like it's a specific date. I know some people don't like specific dates to like, make a change to your life, but it's helpful. So anyways, those are my goals for this year. And Ryan, what do you got?
What, my goals?
Yeah. What's your goals, man?
Oh, man. I don't know. I do know, but I think this podcast.
I was hoping you were going to say that because I forgot to. Yeah.
I want to grow this podcast into something much larger. I want to catch up to some of the other guys, like you guys, Brian.
Yeah.
You guys are about. You're about four times the size of us right now.
Really? That's surprising to me.
Yep.
You're a big deal, Brian Kohn.
You are. You are.
It's not me. It's the other Brian.
You're the big D. But I want to grow this podcast into something that like holds much more value and entertainment for the people who listen to it, and also benefits Noah and I in a way that is substantial to our knife making. And that doesn't necessarily mean monetary gains. I mean, there's other perks to having a podcast, as you know. And making, I want to land more large batch orders. This previous one, which is my first large batch order, is like, it's got me fiending for more. I'm a whore for money, and like those
Aren't we
large
all?
batch orders, they're good money makers. And so it's like fuck, if I could do those constantly, I'd be golden. I'd be where I wanted to be, and I want my name out there. I want to be a voice in the knife making community, and because some people don't think I am. I don't know if you caught that, Brian Kohn, but
I did not catch that.
there was some bullshit on Facebook. It was funny, but
Oh,
anyways,
yeah, I
guys
missed
are
on all of that.
hilarious.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
um, and like not out of ego, like that more has to do with like building my own skill level to the point where people want to ask me questions because they feel like I'm doing something extraordinary, even if I don't think it's extraordinary. Stuff like that. Get a truck. I want a truck.
Noah,
I'd kill.
I want to go back to going into the gym. Like your idea of you want to I mean you're continuing your gym pursuits. I have a big issue when I try to go on a health kick and go back working out in the gym because I in high school I did a lot of sports. I did all of them that I possibly could, but my main one was wrestling. So when wrestling season hit, I would end football at about 225, 220, and then a month later I'd be down to 189 for alpha weigh-ins for wrestling.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I just go back into like that wrestling mindset of working your ass off and like starving yourself and just
the
being
weight cut.
awful. Yeah, the weight cut. And like right now, if I was able to do what I did back then, I would drop way more weight. But again, it's not a you lose it and then you gain it back. It's not a healthy thing to do to your body. But I have since college, when I really started, gaining back weight, it's the thing is like I go into the gym and I all of a sudden go back into that mindset and I work out way harder than my body should, like my body can handle. So not only do I get sore, but I get like overly sore because I just, I go into the weight room and all of a sudden I'm bench pressing way more than I should. And, I just tried to redo what I did in high school, which obviously I just can't because I don't have that stamina anymore. So I go on these kicks of like, okay, I'm going to work out and, you have a month of, okay, I'm doing it every single day. And all of a sudden it's way too much and your body starts breaking down. And it's like, oh, who the hell needs this shit? I don't need to do that. I can't grind straight lines anymore because my arms are shaking because I'm so
Yeah.
damn sore. So if maybe that's something that, you and I can get together on and, if we could motivate each or, maybe if you could just motivate me to go in there and do a little bit at a time and build back up that tolerance, that'd be
I got
really
an
cool.
idea. I have a great idea. Why
What?
don't we do a knife making challenge for weight loss?
All right. I've got plenty
Because
of it to lose.
I know a lot of us knife makers are bigger guys, and a lot of us knife makers probably wish that we'd get the motivation to lose weight. Challenges are the way to go. When I get challenged to something, I'm like, fuck yeah, it's on, bitch. Like, you know what I mean? And
I
I
go
mean,
to one of
I'm,
two ways. Either I get ultra competitive with it, or it deters me because it's like, oh, I'm going to embarrass myself.
oh yeah, that's true. Um, but like, I'm 6 foot 245, I could probably get down to 200 for sure. I mean,
I'm at 5'10" and I'm 285. I've got way too much weight to lose.
you'd lose the first 40 pounds like nothing. It would just
I
fall
know.
right off you.
So how do you want to go about this, Ryan? Are we going to do hashtag H&G weight loss or
Guys,
hashtag
let me get the
H&G.
house set up before I try to get myself all sore.
You can't. We can't use an ampersand.
Right. The H, the letter N, G.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
H,
I mean, and
H&G weight loss.
if guys need any extra like motivation, I think they say you gain a 1/4 inch of wiener size for every 10 pounds you lose.
There we go.
But anyways, so back to the original thing you were saying, Brian. So I work out in the mornings before I go to work, and I have a very
Interesting.
physically demanding job. So I have to force myself to take it easy when I'm in the gym in the morning. Otherwise, I won't be able to work. So, and the other thing is that while I do get up early every single morning, I'm not really a morning person. So I get going, and I don't really know. It's more the mindset that I got in when I first started going to the gym, because I felt like I kept seeing these things online. I saw posts from Joe Rogan. Who else did I see a post from? Oh, are you guys familiar with Papa Swolio?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
so
I like his name though.
Papa Swolio, you've probably seen him. He's this dude. He usually has his shirt off in his videos, and he's just ripped, and he has like a blonde beard, and all of his videos are him like spitting out water and going, "Go
Oh yeah.
gym."
Yeah.
So,
I know who
anyways,
you're talking about now.
all right. So it's hilarious. He's in all kinds of memes and stuff, but like every time I saw one of his videos, I was like, "No, I don't want to go to the gym." And I scrolled to the next one, and it like kept popping up, and I'm like, "Dang it,
This is
maybe
a
he's
sign.
right." And then I saw that that post from Joe Rogan about when you do a hard workout, you just burn the anxiety out of you, and I'm like, dang it, maybe he's right. Like maybe I need to do this, and like it put me in this mindset where it wasn't, can I do this or should I do this? It was, I'm going to do this. And once I'm a very stubborn person. And so once I decide that I'm going to do something, like my gym buddy skips out on me, I would say probably 2 to 3 times a week. I am at the gym every single morning before work. It doesn't matter if I'm there by myself or I'm there with my buddy. Like I am at the gym every single morning before work. And it doesn't matter if I don't want to. It doesn't matter if I'm sick. It doesn't matter if I'm tired, like, or if I'm sore. Like I have decided in my head that this is what I am going to do. And so there's no motivation required because the decision has already been made in my mind that I'm going to do it. And I've overworked myself a couple times to where I had a hard time working, and I just keep that in mind when I'm doing it. And there's this. Go ahead.
Back to what B. Kohn said, I also wrestled. So
What weight class
I know
were
what
you
you're 160.
I was
So
at 189. That was a bitch in Michigan. All of the studs when I was going through was at 189. I just got, it was whatever. Go ahead.
And wrestling versus all other sports is all explosive energy. It's all 100% all the time. So that's how they train. And like we were like throwing up during training, and like after a real hard training session, like you were fucking dead the next day. Like couldn't even like put a fucking shirt on because you're just so fucking sore. And so I know what Brian's talking about, because they instilled it in us to work out that hard all the time. Like
right.
That's just what we did was.
And back then, all you had to do is go to class and do some homework. It didn't matter if you were so sore you can't touch your nose in the morning. Like, all you have to do is write on a piece of paper, and you have to sit there and listen to the teach, drone off at you. So, what I really want and what I would really love is like, maybe if we got like an Instagram message group together where it's the fat guys trying to get back to the motivation to, get to the place that Noah's at, where it's like every single day I want to go and work out. I need like, okay, 3 times a week I do 10 push-ups first week, 20 sit-ups, whatever, and then the next week you crank those numbers up a little bit to like ease your way back into that mindset, because if you start off where I'm at right now and try to do a crazy explosive workout, I will be, I'll throw my back out, honestly. Like I'll be absolutely
and you're going to
screwed.
burn yourself out. You're going to burn
Exactly.
yourself out right off the bat, and you're not going to want to do it. So you have to start in a moderation, And that was
Right.
something that I did because I was completely out of shape. I'm a mechanic and I swing hammers for fun, but at the same time, like I don't do push-ups, like I don't do any of these other things. So I had no stamina. So the first couple times I went to the gym, I was using weights that I knew were lower than what I could use because I didn't want to A, injure myself, and B, burn myself out.
The last time I got into this, I got myself a workout, but actually it's my camera guy, Kyle. And, basically we're just going to Planet Fitness 3 times a week. But the problem
that's where I go.
The problem is Kyle is an actually like fit person. He runs every day and he, works out every day. And I would just join him, 3 times a week. And the problem is I get into that mindset again. And then I'm also working out with somebody who's smaller than me, but doing more weights than me, which turns on this primal, well, if you can lift that, I'll lift 10 pounds higher. I'll do that. And then all of a sudden I'm back into the mindset of, oh shit, I'm screwing myself. And now I can't work next day because I'm too tired, or, oh shit, I was supposed to forge tomorrow. Now we just did arm day. I'm screwed. I don't know. It needs to be again. We're beating a dead horse over here. Let's move on. Let's change those gears.
So there'd be too many nuances too, because everybody is motivated differently. Like some people like positive reinforcement. I'm not that guy. I would rather you call me a bitch and a pussy, and like a fat fuck. You know what I mean? Like I need to be shamed into doing something.
Is that like a kink of yours, or is that just a workout? I don't need to know. I don't need to know.
That's just how me and my brothers have always communicated with each other. So it's like that's what I respond to. You know what I mean? Like if one of us were to quit smoking cigarettes, it wouldn't be like you can do it, buddy. It'd be like you said it, now you're a bitch if you don't type deal. And
all right.
I'm also a mechanic, so I also respond to verbal abuse. That's just kind of how we operate. So anyways, so if anybody is actually interested in hashtag H&G Fitness or whatever the hell we're going to actually do here, shoot me or Ryan a message and we'll try and figure it out. If we don't get any DMs from anybody, then message received. We'll stick to knife making. But if anybody actually is interested in that, we'll look at it and see what we can come up with. Ryan, we're an hour and 42 minutes in. Do we want to do Florida Man today?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. And real quick, I already know that Brian House is going to say we're all lazy for not just doing it and trying to come up with a weight loss challenge. But not all of us are gifted with those genes.
Y'all took that personally, didn't you?
No. We just like fucking with Brian. He's a good sport, and he gives it back. I mean, that grinder, he's leaning hard into the grinder comment, and I mean, it is good. It is good. I told my wife about it, and she even laughed.
And you can't not love the guy. I mean, his hair is adorable.
Yeah, I mean, what? Like I sent him a video about like showing him my hair, and I'm like, check out my hairline. Yours is way better than mine.
For those of you that can't see, Brian is showing us his hairline, which doesn't exist.
It's the whole line.
That's what happens when you shave it.
We love Brian, and Brian is very helpful to me. And since I've been taking over on the podcast, he's helped me out a lot with like editing and trying to get our audio better, and different tactics for getting your name out there and being listened to and getting momentum again. So huge shout out to Brian House. We love you. You should grow your hair out though. Go full mohawk.
I don't think he could do that, honestly. Like I know his personality. I know he has what he likes, and he'll never deviate from it unless he has to.
He could do like the whole Mr. T fucking
straight mohawk,
right up the middle. All right, let's roll into Florida Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready to play. Is it Florida Man or fraud? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to play Florida Man or Fraud. I have 3 stories in front of me, all of which are entirely factual and true and come from reputable news sources. The question that you will be answering today is whether these crimes or events were perpetrated by a Florida man or a fraud from somewhere else in the country. First off, we have animals seized from home, man charged after 100 plus found. A man is charged with 12 total counts after police said more than 100 animals were rescued from his home Saturday, December 10th. Prosecutors accused 46-year-old Larry McAdoo of
McAdoo.
keeping a variety of animals, including dogs, turtles, and alligators, in poor condition at his home near this place. Police were first called to the home on December 9th for an animal cruelty complaint. Upon entry, criminal complaint states the officers smelled a, quote, strong and overpowering odor of animal feces and urine. He was arrested, and the house was searched over the course of those 2 days. Yeah, there was there was a lot of animals, but quite a wide variety, including, like I said, dogs, alligators, etc.
Red herrings.
Do you think that this animal hoarding McAdoo was from Florida or somewhere else in the country?
I'll let you go first, Ryan.
I'm going with Florida because of the gators.
I think that he must have been holding on to a couple red herrings in there, because I don't think he would have pulled out gators unless you want to push us towards Florida Man. And for that reason, I feel like you're pushing too hard. I'm going to go fraud.
Ryan, you're going to go Florida?
Yep.
Final answer?
Yep.
B-Cone, final answer?
Yes, sir. Tell me I'm right.
Damn it, you know me too well. That was absolutely correct.
Hell yeah.
That was Milwaukee Man.
Wow.
Milwaukee.
I mentioned the alligators twice because I wanted to get you. Good
There it
job,
is.
man. That is
Hell yeah.
solid. Well done with your active listening.
There it is, the active listening.
Next up, we have couple trapped inside unlocked janitor's closet for 2 days. A couple apparently who thought they were trapped inside a janitor's closet at a local college for 2 days until police let them out. But as it turns out, the door was unlocked the entire time. John Arwood and Amber Campbell faced trespassing charges. Authorities said Campbell is also accused of violating her parole. Human feces and copper scouring pads, sometimes used to smoke crack, were found inside the closet. The couple told the police they were chased into the closet, and after 2 days, they called 911 for help.
When they ran out of crack.
When they ran out of crack.
Yeah, maybe,
Ryan, hit it up again.
How do you use copper scouring pads to smoke crack?
As the resident non-crackhead of the podcast, I'm going to say I have no idea.
I've never smoked crack. I don't know.
I have no idea how you.
I'm gonna have to look that up after the podcast. But I feel like it's
search.
Yeah, I feel like it's not Florida because you mentioned crack, and Florida is known for its meth. So,
see, here's my thought process, and it has absolutely nothing to do about the story itself. Here's the overarching storyline of this. You do Florida or not Florida Man, and then not Florida Man. So I'm good. Just because there's 3, you don't want to, because if you do 2 not Florida Mans, obviously the third one's going to be Florida Man. So therefore, if I'm doing a double reverse,
I have done 3 Florida Mans in one episode just to throw Ryan off, and it worked.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
I change it up. I keep it real.
This is the Monty Hall effect, where it's like, okay, you can switch. I'm going Florida Man. I feel like that much drugs in that little it's got to be on, Florida State. It's going to be on the university. FSU.
All right, B-Cone's going Florida. Ryan, you're sticking with not Florida because it was crack instead of meth.
Yep.
All right, Beacon's got it again.
Hell yeah. I am on fire over here. There it is.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. Beacon's killing it. All right, here we go.
Boy.
This one's my favorite one. Florida man tries to evade arrest by cartwheeling away from cops.
Dude, you said it in the beginning.
So you remember a little while ago when I was saying that I was really tired because I'd been doing a lot of driving today?
Yeah.
I'm going to get that one right.
Yeah, you going to get this one right? All right.
I think I might too.
I'm going to get that one right.
It's a fraud. It's a fraud.
Reading it. Man, he thought he could evade arrest by out cartwheeling, the police say. He was wrong. A witness was able to catch Gianfranco Fernandez trying to evade the police by doing cartwheels as he ran away. The viral footage shows the gymnastics enthusiast blocking the path of a truck at a Wavo by doing a flip in the middle of a roadway. Officers took him down for apparently blocking traffic, but the man was able to wiggle out of their grasp. He then launched into a cartwheel, but didn't get very far. He was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest.
It's the Florida man.
I deserve that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, there you go, guys. Any idea how you would have guessed that if I hadn't ruined it?
Honestly, not gonna lie, I was so focused on getting the trombone out and not like playing the wrong note. I wasn't listening one bit.
We appreciate your honesty. Oh, man. Yeah, so normally what I do is I take these stories and I put them in like a Word document, and then I go through and I erase all the names and locations because I know that I'm just going to read out the words like Ron
Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. Yeah. If it's on the teleprompter, I'll read it. So I usually I'll usually eliminate that trap for myself, but I spent the entire morning driving back to my house because we were out of town, so I didn't have time.
Gotcha.
So now I know that I really do need to do that.
That's all right. No big deal. So I try to not promote myself. Like, I got into the big trap when I was on work for it, and I just got the Black Pearl and the X Forge. I talked about it way too much, and I got some static back trying, saying that I'm promoting my shit too much and too hard. But
I don't think so.
I sent some out to both of you guys. Did you guys get it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I haven't used it yet, but I'm going to.
Have you, Noah?
Yeah, I posted a picture of a knife and tagged you in it.
Oh, I know. I'm leading you on to talk about it. Trying to do the podcast thing here.
No, I know. I'm just messing with you. So I used the Black Pearl on a new EDC design that I was working on, where the scales were just bolted onto the outside with the tang raised. So it's just a very primitive, basic design that just gives the handle a little bit of more girth to grab onto than my usual EDC, which is a shotgunner that I make, and those things don't have any scales on them. It's just all metal construction. This is just a bigger version of that with a thinner blade overall, and then those scales slapped on there with just the edges rounded off for comfort, and then leaving the texture that's on that Black Pearl, because I love the texture that's on the Black Pearl because it's not overly aggressive where it's going to bite into your hands like some of the orange peel, like the peel and stick, or not the peel and stick, but like the peel off textured G10. It's pretty rough. Like you could sand some skin off with that stuff. So I chose the Black Pearl over that, and in that process, I learned a very important thing, and that is the Black Pearl being monodirectional the way that it is. You do not want to try and router the edges of it.
Yeah,
particularly on the end grain side. I don't know if it's just because I have a crappy router or what, but I tried to router the edges just to round it off and have everything be uniform around the edges so that you had that nice rounded profile all the way around, and split a large chunk of Black Pearl in half and injected a couple fibers of carbon fiber into my hand. So
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
I would not recommend trying to router it. Just an idea.
I've heard that from
Man,
a few people, and I think yours was the worst, where you split the thing right in half. I don't know if you just hit the wrong like angle on it, and it just went on you. But I have heard of a lot of people saying that they've tried to do a router all the way around, and it chipped or it split, and you get those fibers that peel off. Yeah, maybe I really should write up in the listings on my website about do's and don'ts with it.
Well, I'm sure somebody could probably do it and make it work, but in the legendary meme words, I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of retarded. So if somebody was, maybe better than me, they could probably pull it off. But I don't know if I was just being stupid about the way that I was holding it or what. But yeah, it kicked back on me and just so
I'm
Yeah,
fucking terrified of my router.
yeah,
it's so freaking scary, man. Like
Dude,
it's
so scary. I've got a hand one and a table, and I'm like, even the table with the guard and the little thing that sits down over the bit, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
mhm.
yeah. Pickle does it like he puts his in his vise and just does it right on the router with his fingers right there. I'm like, you got big old balls, Pickle. That's
yeah,
crazy.
I've seen him
dude.
do that, and I don't know how he does it because I can't.
I'm scared of any sort of tabletop. The shit. Why am I the saws? The table saws. Oh my god! I just blanked right there for a second. Table saws and table routers scare the ever loving shit out of me because I guess it would be my grandpa's brother. So is that like your great uncle? However that works. So he's a carpenter way up in the top of the UP of Michigan, way up, way up there in the Keweenaw Peninsula for y'all Michiganders up there. Anyways, so he was out there, and of course he's right around 75, closing in on 80 when this happened. And so he's cutting some wood on a table saw, and he drops whatever he's working on, and he reaches down to grab the piece of wood and puts his hand on the table saw, and literally you can he got back his pointer finger and his middle finger, but he still had lost his thumb. It was the bottom of his thumb about halfway through his middle finger, and then or his pointer finger, and then the tip of his middle finger was all just sawn right off when he put his hand on there. And luckily they were able to reattach the middle two fingers, but he still does not have a thumb. So those things
Ugh.
has always scared the ever loving shit out of me, just because that was like, oh my god, can you even imagine?
Have you seen those new safety brakes they came out with
Oh
for
yeah,
table saws?
The saw
yeah,
It's like
stop.
a yeah, the saw stop. It's like that spring-loaded aluminum honeycomb that slams into the blade.
man, I feel like it's
They're
worth
pretty
it.
incredible.
I
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
that they're expensive, and every time you break
there's
one of those,
you
I've
have to
also heard
replace it.
right. I've also heard that carbon fiber will trigger those things.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
conductivity of it.
that makes sense. That would suck.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
going along and yeah,
So
I'm
Noah,
terrified of my table saw. I'm terrified of it. I've used table saws a lot too, but I've seen what they can do, and it's like you develop a healthy fear with it. I find myself getting complacent with my grinder
mm,
sometimes, where I get overly comfortable because whatever you're standing there with your fingers real close for a while and you get used to it. I never feel that way about my table saw ever.
yeah.
I'm like this thing's gonna take off my hand if I fuck up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So Noah, so you didn't really do a whole lot of grinding on that black pearl, it sounds like, other than just the edges.
For that project, no. Aside from that, though, I started on another build, and then I got distracted and did something else. So I did actually work more with the Black Pearl than that, just kind of to test it out and see how it worked. Um, just some shaping and stuff, and I really liked it. It shapes well. Wear gloves. But yeah, it's really easy to work with. It's really easy to get the scratches out. Like, on a
Yeah.
normal piece of handle material, I don't know. I personally start with like a 60 grit. I don't like to use 36 on wood, or G10 or anything like that. But if you start with a 60, you really have to work your progressions the way that you would with steel, because by the time you get to the hand sanding, you want to have those nice thin scratch marks that you're hand sanding out. But I mean, with that black pearl, it moves so easily. I mean, you can go straight from 60 to hand sanding, and it doesn't take long to get those scratches out. It's pretty incredible stuff.
Let me tell you my progression. So with the black pearl, I start out like you said on 60 to do your rough shaping. I jump all the way up to 220 on the belt to do just like, rounding things over, get your final shape. Yeah, you might have to spend an extra minute or so because those, you don't want to leave a 60 grit scratch in there. And then from there, I go to my 2 buffing belts. One of it's the oh shoot, it's the black grease buffing belt. What's it called? It's on Maritime. There's the black
The
one. I Go ahead.
the felt one. The felt one.
Right,
It's like
that's the yellow, like the buffing belt, but I'm talking about the black grease. It's Maverick, I think. Maverick grease or buffing powder or grease or whatever it is. And then I use the purple, which is like their crazy shiny one. Every single time, like maybe I might have to touch up one scratch or two on the 220 grit to get the last like hand sanded scratch out. But other than that, like I've done multiple knives where I've just done 4 belts and I'm up to like a really pearly polish. It's so quick. I mean, of course I'm biased because I sell the stuff, but god damn, how much easier do you want?
So I've actually never used a buffing belt before. So what is this?
It's literally just like a felt belt, and it basically like I don't know how to explain it other than it's a yellow belt that really feels like almost like a felt material that you
Okay.
then you put on your 2x72, and then you'll grab your buffing, the grease or
Compound.
the stick, the compound, and you just load that stuff up. Whatever you do not cross contaminate your compounds. I
Sure.
learned that
Sure.
mistake early on. I was doing green and then white, and then I went back to green and then white, and all of a sudden it's a mix of the two. But yeah, definitely get, if you're going to do multiple ones, have a single belt for each type of compound. But it's so easy. And then at that point you get to use, like, if you have a radius or whatever, you can use your platens on your large wheel attachment or whatever radius. You don't have to like work your steel around in different, or you work your knife around in different orientations to get all the spots. It's just the way that you would grind it.
So would you
I
say that
personally, I
it's
think that it's a better way to do it.
so it's better than a buffing wheel, you'd say?
I personally have never used a buffing wheel, so I can't compare the two of them side by side, but I've heard of more mistakes and more injuries and fatalities on a buffing belt or a buffing wheel than a belt.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least on a belt, if it catches, it has multiple angles for the thing to fly off. Where those wheels,
Instead
that
of
thing
right
can
back in your
whip
face.
around and throw right back in your face.
Yeah.
I forget where I heard it first, but it may have been on Knife Talk, but they were talking about this chopstick maker who is making these titanium chopsticks or whatever crazy high-end chopstick, and he was buffing on the thing, has been doing it for 40, 50 years every day of his life. And for whatever reason, the buffing wheel caught that chopstick, whipped it around and threw it straight through his heart, and he was dead on the spot. I mean, I know
Damn.
for everything, there's a horror story somewhere. The
Jeez.
0.00001% chance that the worst thing can happen. Of course, it's going to happen, and everything is scary for sure. But my mentality is, if it's going around a belt grinder, there's the straight down. It could peel off of and unstick and throw it into the ground. It could, if it makes it around the one corner, it could throw into the back wall. If it makes around that corner, it could throw into the ceiling before it throws back at you. I don't know. Maybe
I,
I don't know.
I've always said my buffing wheel is the most dangerous tool in my shop.
And they're
I've
scary,
had
man. They
I've
really
had some
are.
close calls. And it's like, oh, because it happens so fast. There's no way somebody could react in the amount of time that it happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just
And it's one of those things that when you walk up to it, it doesn't seem intimidating. It's one of those things that I can imagine getting too comfortable with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into those belts. You said they Lawrence sells them.
I'm pretty sure he does. I guess it's been a while since I've bought them, but I'm fairly certain. I'm sure if you, or even if he doesn't sell them, I'm sure you can hit him up and he'll find them for you.
Okay. Well, if he doesn't, then Phoenix probably does, or somebody that we know probably carries these things. So I'll have to look into there and see if I can find some, because if I can, not only can I, be safer by not using my buffing wheel, but I mean, with my smaller shop, if I can eliminate a tool out of there and make more space, that would be ideal.
Sure,
So
sure.
gonna
I
look into
just
that for sure, man.
recently started using a leather stropping belt.
I've been thinking about getting into them. What are your initial impressions on them?
I love it.
Okay.
It should be pointed out that it's a strip of leather that's glued together on one end. They don't ride like a belt. They kind of fucking wiggle
Okay.
and flop, but you only really have to have it on like 10. Like you just run it low, wind a bunch of buffing compound to it, and then just take your burr off.
Interesting. Because I've been using
So
my buffing belt on the end of at the very end of my sharpening process. I've been just using my buffing belt, and I whip that thing up to 100% or way up there. Just do really light passes, and every single time it scares the ever loving shit out of me, because especially when you're doing that light pass and the tip of that blade just touches. Oh my! I could just imagine it every single time. That tip's gonna ride into that thing, and it's gonna throw that thing. But so
Ryan,
maybe a
why are you
leather
running
leather
everything at
stropping.
100?
I really
Jeez,
don't.
man.
Very rarely do I actually go balls to the wall. It's the 36 grit and the buffing belt, and then the one time I was doing that Scotch Brite belt and wasn't thinking. I swear, I
Man.
very rarely touch 100% on the VFD, but I guess that's when I make my mistakes.
All right. Wow. But yeah, so I use a leather belt as well, and actually I always have. So when I was first getting into knife making, I watched a Jay Nielsen video on knife sharpening, and he used a little leather stropping belt, and I bought one off of Amazon because at that point all I had was my 1x30, and so when I got my 2x72, I was gonna throw my 1x30 away. And I was
Hustle and
like, wait
Grind
a
is
second.
sponsored by phoenixabrasives.com, your one-stop abrasive shop.
How you feeling there, Ryan? You doing
And I'm
good?
muted. What the fuck is going on over here?
Hey, we're
He's
just trying to. I mean, if you want to shout out Phoenix Abrasive again, you can, by all means.
promo code hustle10. Get 10% off your entire order.
There you go. So,
Sorry,
anyways, so yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
that's fine. So I actually ended up not throwing my. I pulled it back out of the trash can after I threw it out. And I keep my 1x30, and it's got a leather. It's got my leather belt on it that I bought when I first started making knives, and I just keep that thing underneath my metal bench. And then whenever I do sharpening, I do my sharpening on my 2x72, and then I turn around and I got my leather belt right there. So I don't even have to swap out belts, and I just take the burr off on that little baby leather belt right there. So it works well for me.
If it works, it works. Speaking of those 1x30s, I had probably my favorite experience as like my Sharp Santa moniker this year. So I don't know if I forget which one it was, but I was talking about maybe, ramping down the idea of doing YouTube videos as often as I have been, like just slowing that thing down, because it's just the return on investment seems on the outward, it seems kind of low. Honestly, I've lost a lot of money because I pay Kyle. Anyways, so about it had to have been about a month ago, maybe not even that far back. I had a lady reach out to me on Facebook Marketplace, and she sent me this big long paragraph, but basically it came down to her husband and son were watching a bunch of YouTubers like knife makers and really getting into the long, getting super obsessed about making knives. And for whatever reason, they got onto my YouTube channel and they watched a couple of mine and they got inspired, and they saw some, I think it was one of the knives that I cut a Werner's can in half, which Werner's is like a quintessential like Michigan ginger ale. I don't even know if it's sold anywhere but Michigan. So they
I
saw
haven't heard
that
of it.
like Right.
It's sold here.
Is it really? But anyway, so they saw the Werner's can get chopped in half and like, oh God, this guy must be in Michigan. And she looked it up just because she saw that in passing. So she looked me up and she found me and she was basically saying, can we do lessons? Like what can we do? And honestly, I'm still in the baby shop and I'm moving into the newer shop. I'm sorry, this isn't a really great time to try to teach lessons, but once I'm all set up, by all means. But basically she was like, okay, well then can you give me advice? Because for Christmas this year, I want to get them everything they need for making knives. So I gave,
Holy.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's all the low end stuff. Like
Okay, I was like,
she's
God
going Harbor
damn.
Freight and like she's not going crazy with it. But I was able to like give her a big checklist. Okay, these are the necessities, and if you can get these 8 things, that will set them up to really start. They can start by making something that's functional. And basically, I told her, okay, I've got my Harbor Freight hammers. I made a video about my Harbor Freight anvil and hammers where I kind of changed them up and I ground them down and made them into something that you can learn on. So I ended up giving her my 3-pound and my 2-pound Harbor Freight forging hammers and my 1x30 that I hadn't touched since I set up my Broadbeck. So, between that and, all of the lists that she got, including Forge and all of the things that, I mean, just think about your shop. She needed just about everything. So I was able to
Who's the
put her in the
generous
right
one
direction.
now?
Right. So I was able to push her in the right direction. And then I kind of gave her the 1x30, a couple belts and the hammers. And she already had an anvil ordered. And so that experience, being able to find someone local that like, now I can like, oh, you're getting into this? Well, let's push you so much farther ahead than where you would have been just by giving advice and, setting them up with a couple tools that I haven't touched in a long time. I mean, shit. God, that just felt so good. Just being able to like, oh man, I wish I had that when I was getting into it. Now I can set you guys up to really exceed. I don't know.
You remember last time we were on this? You were on this show, and we were talking about what a selfless individual you are, and you were
Oh, get
saying,
out of here.
"No,
Get out of
yeah,
here.
that's what
Come
you were
on.
saying." Yeah,
You
proof once
fucking
again.
you fucking wonder why I don't mind sending you handle material.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, here you
The
go.
self. So okay, so Christmas is over. We're gonna be done with Sharp Santa. So from now on, it's the selfless Brian Kohn.
Yeah, okay.
That's the title
Get
of this
that shit
show,
out of here. Get that shit out of here. I don't need
guys.
that.
It's 2
Saint
hours and 12
Cone.
minutes. Saint
Saint
Kohn. There we go.
Saint Conies.
There we
It's better
go.
than Dr. Cone. I hate Dr. Cone. But
You are
Brian,
now henceforth known as Saint Conies.
Saint Coney. I love it. All right, House, if you're listening, Sharp Santa's done for the year. It's now Saint Cone.
okay. Whatever you guys want. I don't know if I'll respond to it, but you can call me whatever you want.
We should find somebody who's good at Photoshop and make like a picture of you as like an old timey saint.
Oh my gosh.
Saint Conies.
Yes.
And we'll use it as the thumbnail for this episode.
Oh, we need Coney dogs in that somehow. Saint Conies.
Get
They
him
could
with a
just put
halo over his head, holding a hot dog in each hand.
There it is. Oh boy. All right.
And I think that's a show.
Sure. I mean,
wow,
you guys want to keep
crushed
going?
the
I'm here,
record.
man. If you guys want to keep going, let's keep going. I don't know. Are you dying over there, Noah? You're too tired?
I'm ordering pizza right now.
Nice.
I don't like cooking anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
probably
really
gonna go order a pizza. That sounds good, man. That's a good idea.
I really think the next couple weeks I'll be ordering out so damn much just because we're moving.
Oh, dude,
You
when we
will
moved into this place, I mean, the first thing we did when we walked in the door after we got our keys was we ripped up the orange shag carpet that was the entire upstairs floor. So we pretty much ate like takeout and pizza for a solid week minimum.
See, yours was orange shag carpet. This one has green shag carpet. And it's all like worn out in paths. It's terrible.
Does it have pet stains in it?
No, it doesn't seem to have any sort of pet stains or
I
anything.
win then. Mine's worse. Mine's
Yep.
worse.
Yours is definitely worse than that account.
There was cat shit all over my house. I win. Oh
Oh,
man. I spent a stupid amount of money when I bought my house. Like
Yeah.
in the moving process when you're moving in, like I felt
oh yeah.
like it wasn't just me, Noah. Oh, you need shower curtains, toilet seats. The wife doesn't like this. She wants to change this. That light is kind of funky, so I should put in a new light. Like the list of things that you have to buy just grows exponentially every day after you take over the keys
Yeah.
I spent.
for the first month or so.
Oh yeah. I should have gotten myself one of those Home Depot credit cards, but I didn't because I spent so much freaking money there. It was unbelievable.
So
I did.
hey, maybe this is something. I'm about a week away from getting, actually less than a week away from getting my first, home keys. Do's and don'ts for getting into a new house. What is something that, is looking back, you're idiotic if you don't get this or that or do this or that.
Do you have a
Mm,
moving van lined up?
Say that one more time.
Do you have a moving van lined up?
That's the old Astrovan, man. I got my own moving van.
Yeah, you can fit
um,
everything in there.
Not
I would
everything, but
say
it's enough trips. It's only like 5 minutes down the road, so it's not like I'm going that far. I can make 100 trips if I
Oh,
need
okay.
to.
All right. Yeah, we
I
moved a good 30 minutes away. So
I would say because you're in Michigan and your winters are comparable to ours, though it's been 50 degrees here all week.
Same. I
Isn't
really
it
wish.
weird?
Oh my god! If only this past week's of weather could have been this next week's of weather, we would have been set.
Yeah. But anyways, I would while the house is empty, go around and find any potential heat leaks, anything that's going to
Mm,
cost you big on your heating bill. I don't know if you had to pay heat in the place you lived before, but
yeah,
it sucks. It's
it
horrible.
does. It
What
really
heat
does.
source is in the house?
I believe it's propane.
That's
I
good.
believe it's
That's
propane.
good. Propane's better than oil and it doesn't fluctuate as much in price. And
Yeah.
you get more BTUs per gallon out of propane than oil. As
Yeah.
far as I know. I could be wrong. Somebody might correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I know
I'm
it's not
oil.
oil. I know it's not oil. That would be
Mine mine's oil hot water. So I got hot water baseboard and then it feeds the hot water for the house. And it's not fun.
yeah.
It was like I filled the tank a month ago. It was like $800 from quarter of a tank. So whatever that
Yeah.
is, 150 something gallons.
Noah, you said other than getting that credit card from Home Depot, is there anything else?
oh man, that's tough. I don't remember what I ate yesterday, so it's really hard for me to think back 8 years. Um, shoot, no, I can't think of anything. If I think of something, I'll hit you up. But
Sure.
yeah, just try and be patient. Like it's crazy, it's hectic. Um, but yeah, I mean, especially if you're moving into a fixer upper, like yeah, there are some things that you want to do before you move in, but sometimes it's just not realistic. Um,
Yeah, we've come to a point where we originally wanted to do, okay, let's do all of the walls, get paint done. Okay, then we're gonna do all of the floors, get all that but the problem is that by the time we do our down payment, we're not gonna have enough money to do absolutely everything before we move in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, fix all the things that need to be fixed and then get in there and kind of do a mental tally, or not even a mental tally, but basically do a tally of, okay, this room to get it the way we want it is going to be this much. This room's going to be this much. Make that, and then make a priority list. Okay, first, we need to do the bedroom so that you have a home base, and when you go to sleep at night, at least the place that you sleep is the way you want it first, and then probably the kitchen because that's going to be the most expensive and the most amount of return on investment for the money you put into it, because the oven is like a little itty bitty tiny oven, and there's just a lot of things we need to do in there, and basically we're just going to try to piecemeal it out, and it's going to be a long process, but it is what it is. I don't know.
It's
well,
so
and
it's so fulfilling though because it's yours.
Yeah.
It's not
I've
it's
never
not like
I've
an
never had
apartment.
that feeling before where like I've always lived either under my parents' roof or at an apartment. So I've never been able to like, paint the walls the way I want to paint it or, do change this thing dramatically or take out that wall because I don't like that wall. It's going to
Yeah,
be weird.
totally.
It's going to be weird, but I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing I would say in respect to that is if you're going to do a room, do the room, finish the room, make sure that the room is finished, and then move on. Don't
Yeah.
get to the point where you're doing multiple projects in multiple rooms, or you are most of the way done with this, but oh, hey, your wife wants you to move on to this other thing, get this done because it's, kind of annoying or whatever like that. Like, finish the room, finish the project. If you're going to do all the baseboards, do all the baseboards. Don't do most of them and then leave yourself with like some trim to finish up or whatever it is, like try and have that level of self control to go through and make sure that it's completely done to where you're happy with it before moving on to the next thing. Because otherwise you get caught in this really annoying spiral.
God forbid you get to one where it's like, this process absolutely sucks. So let's do everything around that project and then have to, come back to the thing that sucks.
If you are going to get a credit card, like a Home Depot credit card, I would recommend the Home Depot credit card over like the Lowe's card. I have both of them. The Home Depot card, you can order things off their website and have it shipped directly to your house instead of having to go in there and like figure out a way to like get like if you bought a big tool or whatever. And also they give you higher limits and you can buy more stuff through Home Depot than you can because like Home Depot is a distributor for Wen and Delta.
Right.
So like a lot of tools that you might end up using in your shop later on, you can order through them. Like Grizzly bandsaws they sell through homedepot.com.
And the
Gotcha.
reward
Milwaukee.
the rewards are really good. So if you're, like when you first sign up, usually it'll be like, oh, you spend $1,000, you get $200 off or something like that, like an
Mhm.
introductory offer, stuff like that, which is really huge when, you're spending $1,000 easily just on one project, for your house.
Right.
You build a fence, you're spending $2,000. Okay, well, $200 off of that, pretty good. Plus all the regular rewards of like, 1.5% or 2% cash back or whatever when you're shopping there. It adds up, so it's worth it.
So luckily in Mount Pleasant we have a Home Depot and we also have Menards, which I think is kind of a smaller, maybe it's just a Midwest thing. But Menards about once a month will do 11% rebate on everything.
Holy. That's pretty
That's really
Yeah.
good.
good.
So that's we're kind of hoping that things line up where it's like, okay, if we could get in there in the first week, have that 11, because the thing with that 11% rebate is it can happen whenever. They don't let you know ahead of time until that Sunday. Okay, starting Monday, 11% rebate all week. So, I would be so cool if somehow that all lines up where we get our keys and all of a sudden we've got the 11% rebate. We can start actually getting some decent deals on things. But I really think that what it's going to come down to is, luckily Emily is one of those, really thrifty shoppers. Well, she'll go to like 5 different grocery stores because, well, it's cheaper here and this is cheaper there. She's all about getting the best bang for your buck. So I can luckily I can just kind of sit back and be like, okay, Emily, this is the list of things we need. You find them. She's good at that stuff.
Nice. It's always good to have a partner that's on the same page with you about that sort of stuff
Yeah.
and is good with that.
My
Cool.
first wife was terrible with money, bro. You want to stick with somebody who's good with money.
Man, I really feel like I mean, not to just gush about Emily like I do very regularly, but I found that unicorn that is, not only smart, but, man, I can go on, but this is not the podcast for it. Sorry about it.
No,
Sorry,
it's all
guys.
good, man. I talk about my wife all the time, and there's a lot of makers out there that we just couldn't do what we do without the help and the support of our wives, and that's
Yeah.
very, very true for me. My wife is amazing, and she allows me to do the things that I do. I couldn't do what I do.
I mean, the biggest prerequisite for being a successful knife maker is a wife with a real job.
So here's what I was thinking. I had an idea and like we're booked out for guests into the beginning of April.
Okay.
But I was thinking at some point we could do a knife wife episode where a few
Love
of
it.
our wives come on
Love it.
and talk to each other about what it's like being married to a psychopath. You know,
Now, would we be a part of this, or would it just be a wife episode?
I would probably like have to be here in case anything went wrong on the computer, but I don't know. I haven't really planned it out that much. We can have up to 8 guests in one call.
Sure.
So
Man, I mean, I'm sure
we could do a
Dennis's wife,
couple. Yeah, we
Dennis
could do a
Tyrell's wife would be good for that. Gentry's wife, Molly, is also, I feel like she would be up there.
we could do a couples episode.
That'd be
Love
cool.
it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I love that idea. Let's put that on the books. I have
You're
to
dying.
go. This has
You're
been
dying.
the
I'm
longest
sorry.
podcast in my life. Two
Become-
hours and 25 minutes.
Dude,
All right.
man, I appreciate you guys for having me on. I really love this podcast, and I really love the direction that you guys have taken it. You guys have, I feel like you guys have just succeeded all expectations. I truly like, I will hit or miss listening to my own episodes on Work For It, just because, you know, I was already there. I don't need to re-listen to that. Every single week, no matter what happens, as soon as it drops, listen to the Hustle and Grind podcast. Love you guys to death. I love this show.
Thanks, man.
I really do.
That's
and
amazing,
we appreciate
dude. Thank
you being like drop of a hat. You want to do an episode right now, and you're like, yeah, let's do the
sure.
longest episode you've ever done. Let's do it.
Man, we
Not
need
only
to
am
do
I
one.
there, I'm there 110%.
We need to do one last little topic. Just fill out these last 4 minutes to get to 2.5 hours. Come on, let's hit it. Let's go.
Actually, you know what we can do?
We could read
What?
off the patrons.
We can read off the patrons.
There it is. Tell me about your
We've been-
patrons.
We got a new patron this week, actually.
Oh yeah?
And yep, so we'll name him first just to give him a shout out. That's Spruce Hill Studio is the newest patron of the Hustle and Grind podcast. Thanks to him, an angel got its wings.
Nice.
Down through the list, we got Donny Dulovich, knifematerial.at, Aru Bladeworks, Brigham Kendall, Mark LeBlanc, Mark Vanderwerf, Richard Beck, Todd Harrington, Dennis Tyrell, Troxclair Custom Cutlery, Zachary Sowell of Maritime Knife Supply. I lost my place. Noah Bloomberg, Crafty Man Forge, Brian Hennenkamp, Echo Blades, Sourwood Creations, Bremner Built Knives, Snake Branch Knife Works, Stormlight Forge, Timber Tiger Forge, Ira Housework, Maximus Knives, Jared Weaver at the Master of Metal Manipulation, Mr. Brian Kohn, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, man.
Driver Defense Knives, and the newest one is Spruce Hill Studios. So thank you all.
Do you guys, I remember back in the day, you guys would do a shout out to one of them. We'd all look them up and, you know, shout out a few things. Do we want to do that real quick?
Let's do the newest one. We'll look up Spruce Hill Studio.
As it happens, I'm just looking them up right now because I wanted to follow him.
Is it, how do you look them up? What's the exact one? Like, spell it out for me.
SPRUCE.hill.studio. Says Maine-based blacksmithing, bladesmithing, and woodworking.
Oh, I forgot he was from Maine.
Yeah, Will from
Good.
Maine. I've been following along with him for a while. He's got some really good stuff for sure.
He's only got 184 followers, so we got to pump them numbers up.
Here's one from him. So there's a post of him. It looks like he's doing some heat treating, but he has a, you know, box square tube in the heat or in his forge to do that, like, you know, fake even heat where it kind of spreads out and makes a more even heat over a larger area. Man, that is one of the things that when I learned that, I forget where I heard it first, but that just, it allowed you to do larger knives because all of a sudden, you know, your forge isn't just hitting one small area and you have to move it back and forth and just barely make it happen. I mean, that's a smart move for sure. That's a smart move.
Ooh, he's got a EDC blacksmith's pocket knife. That's kind of like that, the fold over style friction folder. Very nice work.
I was just going to point those things out. I love those friction folders. Those things look great.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cool stuff here. These forged feathers. I love forged feathers. I'm a sucker for it, and he's got some really cool ones.
Man, the forged leaves look good too. I tried to do a couple of those, and just they looked like dog shit. It's a skill for sure. That's a really really good high end skill. Well, not high end. Like if you just do leaves all your life, you're not going to make much money. But it makes you think about how you're going to move the metal in just the right way. It's a good practice for sure.
For sure, he's got some nice little Kiridishi marking knives.
Yeah, I just saw those. Looks like he's doing some stabilizing too. That's cool. So yeah, go check out Spruce Hill Studios on Instagram, or Spruce Hill Studio, excuse me, on Instagram, and give him a follow.
Spruce.hill.studio. Yeah, he's a good follower. He's a great guy. I've talked to him a couple times. He's a really cool dude.
I wondered where in Maine he's at. Wouldn't that be weird if he was like down the street?
Man, I mean, how big is Maine? Like, is it a giant state?
It's pretty good as far as surface area goes, but we only live in like one strip up the front of the state, and then the rest is woods.
Maybe a meetup is in order.
Maybe. I don't like meeting people. I pretty much, yeah.
No, I get you. I get you.
I went to Walmart the day after Christmas, and that was the first time I had been to Walmart in over a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
my wife was like, I can't. Yeah, she's like, I can't believe you're coming. I'm like, well, it's day after Christmas. I need to.
Is it just a hermit status where you just can't be around people, or like what's the deal?
Yeah.
I remember you talking about how you're worried about going to Blade Show because if you get in a room with a bunch of people, you get overstimulated.
I do. My brain like registers all the conversations that are going on. Mm-hmm. So I can't explain it. It's hard to describe what happens to me. But the wife and I have been together 10 years. She knows. So like if we're in a place, she'll hand me the car keys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I can go sit in the car. Cool. Yeah. Get me the fuck out of here.
Speaking of get us the fuck out of here, Noah's dying over here. I feel like we need to end the show.
Let's do this. This is a good one.
This is a great one. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
We appreciate you. Noah and I would have talked. We talk all week, so it's like, what are we going to talk about? Yeah. We kind of lean. We kind of developed the show now to lean on the guest to drive the conversation because Noah and I already talked all week. Sure. We both already know Ameribraid sponsoring us now. Shout out to Ameribraid. Everybody go on their website, ameribraid.com. Buy whatever you want for as much as you want to pay. And
how about this? I don't know if I can figure it out, but if you type in what's your favorite, HG5 or Hustle and Grind 5? Like what's the discount to code? I want to do it on my Black Pearl for this upcoming week. Just for those of you who are crazy enough to listen to us for 2.5 hours, hey, maybe you can get some Black Pearl for let's do 10% off.
Hustle 10 is our standard discount code.
Hustle 10 on the website. Go pick up some Black Pearl. Type in Hustle 10, 10% off. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna set it up as soon as we're off of this podcast. And if you're listening for 2.5 hours, damn, go follow these guys on YouTube. We need to watch these things live.
This will come out on YouTube in probably 2 or 3 hours.
Oh shoot! I need to set up this Hustle 10 like right now. There we go.
All right, guys. Yeah. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you all.
Noah's
Go get yourself some Black Pearl. Go check out Ameribraid. Have a great week.
Bye.
See you guys. Yeah. Love the show.